All right. Well, welcome. Today we have Devon Wright. He is a creator and writer for an Afrofuturism comic series about musical freedom fighters in a post-apocalyptic future called Avant Guardians. That sounds very interesting. Like, we're gonna definitely touch base on that because I'm a music head. But you guys can check out the site, avantguardians.com. You're gonna see it below, and it'll also be in the comments as well. And you could check out the on Instagram, the avantguardiansmovie.com. Well, Avant Guardians Movie. That's on IG and Facebook. But yeah, we're gonna dig into his projects because he also got a new Kickstarter coming out for a project called Critical Race Fury, the anti-racist. And not only are we gonna dig into his projects, but we're gonna dig into Devon as a creator, everything he's you know, been through starting his journey down this path that we call creating, and the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with this passion that we love, but also a headache that can be, but it's always worth it at the end. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Like I said, this is a new podcast. This is the second episode, and hoping it catches on. And I love to just network and talk and build with with new creators and come across great projects. Now, let's get to before we get to any of your projects, let's talk about yourself a little bit. Like, introduce yourself to the community, let everybody know what we a little bit about yourself.
First of all, nice to meet you virtually, Malice. Um, this is a great platform that you're creating here for us creators and that
Thank
sort of
you.
thing. I,
Thank
I
you.
hope it blows the hell up.
I hope
Um, yes,
hopefully.
hopefully. And so thank you for having me as your
Mhm.
second guest. And a little bit about myself. I gave you the shortened bio, just
Yeah.
so you can read it
Oh
really
yeah,
quickly, but
absolutely.
in my professional life, I'm actually an educator. I'm a university professor
Okay.
um, at Metropolitan State University of Denver in a department that's called Africana Studies. And
Okay.
just to clarify what that is, just to put it simple, it just means Black Studies or African American Studies
All
with
right.
Africa at the center and then the African diaspora. It's interdisciplinary literature, history, politics, sociology, whatever disciplinary approach that we can take to understanding the global Black experience. That's what the discipline is about.
Okay.
It's a little over 50 years old now. It comes out of the civil rights, Black Power protest tradition,
Hmm.
and actually, it's interesting. Got a lot going on in my head now about influences and what shaped my thinking and that sort of thing. But I really have to give credit to hip hop,
Oh. Hmm.
especially late '80s, early '90s hip hop
Hmm.
that comes out of a Black militant, pro Black, Afrocentric, socially conscious awareness
Hmm.
type of a moment. It kind of was a bit of a protest movement
Yeah,
against injustice,
it
police
actually was.
brutality,
Hmm.
white supremacy, materialism, capitalism, anything that you can think of. And it really inspired, it really provided the foundation for my philosophy, my political thinking. And it really is the primary responsibility for me being in the career that I
Hmm.
am, but it also influenced my creative passions. I mean, I realized that I could draw even
Hmm.
before I started
Okay.
kindergarten. Okay. But hip hop really gave, I don't know how to explain it, just like a force, an energy. Yeah. Real hip hop
Real
still
hip hop still
breathes.
breathes.
It does. It does. You can try to
It,
kill it, but
it'll
it's
never
it's still
die.
alive.
It'll never die. The
I mean, I could
fad,
say a lot of critical things about it. It's
the
true.
fad that they said it was gonna be back in the days, early
Yes, I
90s. Oh,
remember.
hip hop's never gonna. It's a fad. It's it. Most businesses revolve around hip hop culture in one way or another. With marketing, everything. It's hip hop. It's hip hop. You know.
Seems like we come from the same era then, basically. You
Oh,
remember that.
I'm a hip hop head. I love hip hop. Like I
And
said,
what's
look at the shirt. This is
and
on
what
my
city
merch.
are you, what city? I see you were in New York. Are you based in New York?
Oh, I mean, born and raised in Brooklyn. I just
Oh man.
relocated to Connecticut not too long ago, but I grew up hip hop. Hip hop's in my
Wow.
blood. Like, I embrace the culture, hip hop, to my core. Everything I do is based around hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I love hip hop.
And you know, and it's as much okay. Let's just say for me, it's kind of a love hate relationship
Hmm.
because hip hop is where my heart is, it's where my spirit is. But similar to Commons, I used to love her. You
Hmm.
know, it's something that gave me my philosophy. It's something I fell in love with, but
Hmm.
it also has had a habit of veering off track. Or
Hmm.
let me just be fair to hip hop and say there are those who have not had hip hop's best interests in mind
Oh, absolutely.
and have bastardized the art form into something
Hmm.
that's just purely about making money, you know,
Hmm.
just purely about cash and that sort of thing. When like you just said, for much of the world, hip hop is like a way of life now,
Yeah.
you know. It's a way to speak, a way to think, a way to walk, a way to
Everything.
act, that sort of for good and for bad, for good and for bad, you
Of
know.
course.
So with that in mind, it really did provide the platform for my career and for my creative life. And that, you know, when you mentioned the first graphic novel series, Avant Guardians, it's rooted in my love, first of all, for jazz, which hip hop also introduced me to, because there
Hmm.
was an era of hip hop where it was sampling a lot of
Yeah.
jazz, a lot of 70s funk. And I
Hmm.
wanted to
Oh
know
yeah.
more. So I would flip the records over and who did they sample? And oh, let
Hmm.
me listen to this song. So that's what introduced me to jazz, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so Avant Guardians is first and foremost really situated. It's situated in a post-apocalyptic future where all forms of artistic expression have been abolished,
Hmm.
punishable by death. But a prophecy tells of the coming of a time-traveling musical messiah, one who is going
Mm.
to lead a resistance movement called Avant Guardians. But the movement is really situated in like late 70s, well, let me just say throughout the 70s,
Hmm.
fusion, jazz rock fusion, which a lot of hip hop artists sampled from that
Oh
time.
yeah.
And like I'm thinking of, for example, like Donald Byrd and that song that Black Moon by way of Evil D used for the remix for Buck 'em Down, you
Hmm.
know, like just as an example, just as you know, just the and the way that they took the bass and filtered out the highs and made it low and then
Hmm.
added the horns back in. That sound right there is just coming from an era which just influenced, you know, just my consciousness as far as creativity and that sort of thing. But Avant Guardians is really, really rooted in the sampling that comes from that era of jazz rock fusion. And
Mm.
imagine a future where all forms of artistic expression have been abolished and the only thing that we have to liberate ourselves, to free ourselves from tyranny, is the one thing that makes us all human beings. And that's our capacity to creatively express
Mm.
ourselves. Once we can
Mm.
re-tap into that, it's a natural ability, but it's also a superpower. If you really, really tap into your creative energies, your
Oh yeah.
creative forces, then you can become like almost like a god, you know, with
Exactly.
these
Exactly.
amazing powers that shape the
Hmm.
world, you know.
I agree. I agree. 'Cause I feel like creating, whether you're creating a song, uh, a comic book, a novel, anything, you're giving life to this idea, and then the more you build on it, the more you continue, the more you add, it gives you that godlike feeling. Like I started with one, it became two, now it's many. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's one of the main reasons I love creating, whether it's music, comics. I started with music. That's how my love of hip hop started my journey into being a creator, and and that's and just that love. Even now, I've always done, of course, everyone creates projects and they hope to one day get rich and famous. So we all want to we all want to reap those kind of benefits, of course. You know what I'm saying? But I also just love that freedom of expression. That therapeutic feeling of I could say what I want to say
It is therapy. Yeah.
in a way that it's hard for me to just talk about. I can't sit here and speak to somebody and tell you this, but I could lay it over a song, you know, and you could hear the feeling instead of me just telling you how I feel. Like take this journey with me, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's to me, that's what hip hop gave me the strength as a creator to put this into into this, you know? So you guys could, so yeah, no, I get it. And that project, look, it gave me chills because like I said, I love hip hop. Hip hop is what I grew. That's the culture I grew up in. You know, like people say, no, I grew up in the street. I grew up with hip hop. Hip hop made me who I am. You know, so yeah, no, I'm loving what I'm hearing so far about your project. Please tell me more.
Yeah, I happen to have issue number 3 on me of
Okay,
Avant Guardians right now.
okay.
For folks who want to check it out, I got a website, avantguardians.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on Instagram at Avant Guardians Movie, and I titled
Mm-hmm.
that for 2 reasons. Avant Guardians is a play on word, comes from French, avant-garde, which means, the forward guard in
Mm-hmm.
creative expression in art forms,
Yeah.
people who are willing to take risks, even if it meant risk to their lives with their creative expression.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because mine is about futuristic musical warriors liberating themselves through creative expression, I wanted to take that name. So it's a very common play on words, and it had already been taken on Instagram and a couple of other platforms. But I also have dreams of Avant Guardian becoming a big budget film franchise. So I just said,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let me just put movie on there. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody else wants to
I
turn
would
this into
love
a
to
movie.
see that. I would love to watch that.
But that's the goal. That's the goal. In fact, for many, many years, the project, we can say it's in terms of conception, I first conceived of it in 2012. In terms of creating the first physical product, which
Mm-hmm.
was issue number 1, let's say that was 2016. So it's
Okay.
about 10 years old now. It's about 10 years old.
Okay.
And after the release of the film Fruitvale Station, which I think was in 2013, and I saw the awesome acting abilities of Michael B. Jordan and the
Mm-hmm.
awesome writing, movie making abilities of Ryan Coogler, I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, man,
Great
I would
movie.
love to have Michael B. Jordan as my main character. That's just like my dream,
Yeah.
just have him as my to see this Michael B. Jordan, got your next film. But Avant Guardians, it's about 10 years old now.
Okay.
I've had along the way, and that happens in just life, sort of life
Mm-hmm.
distractions, other things
Mm-hmm.
that are more
Of
important. That,
course.
for example, the biggest thing that would be the pandemic, as it was that it happened at the time. Like, I just had to focus on, Hill. I don't know what's happening, where this country's going.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Yeah.
should focus on this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was still teaching. We were 100% online, so we would not, because we didn't understand the nature
Mm-hmm.
of that virus at the time and how
Yeah.
contagious and deadly it was and that sort of thing. So it kind of slowed me down, number
Mm-hmm.
one. And I had to focus on other things in my career as well, too. So I'm a little bit behind. My
Mm-hmm.
goal was to put out one issue per year, go out to the comic conventions, sell them, build a name for myself. So I have a pretty good following on Instagram, Facebook. Those are the two primary platforms for Avant Guardian's movie. But my latest project, and I thought of this maybe about 5 years ago, I first started getting ideas. I was like, this whole, right wing, fascist political culture, which is about 10 years old now, the current
Mm-hmm.
MAGA era that we're in now, um, just created a lot of frustration in me. Going back to hip hop, actually, if I could make a criticism, because
Mm-hmm.
hip hop is family. And if you can't criticize your family,
Yeah.
are they really
Exactly.
family?
Exactly.
Where are the voices? I feel like, okay, underground hip hop has always been doing its thing, but I'm talking about once upon a time, late 80s, early 90s. It was mainstream. You could see mainstream
Mm-hmm.
artists, meaning they were being played on mainstream radio waves, getting nominated for awards. Public Enemy would probably be the most prominent group
Oh yeah.
that were
Always.
criticizing America for its
Mm-hmm.
racism and its problems. I don't really see that going on today.
You know?
And the last 10 years has given hip hop so much material
Mm-hmm.
to
Oh yeah.
talk about America and
Mm-hmm.
criticize it, you know? So with that frustration, just something was kind of just brewing in my spirit. Like, I don't want to make nice with racists. I'm sorry. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to sit down, have a beer, a coffee, a smoke or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and see if we can come to a common understanding. If you don't think my life is worth anything, and your vision of society is just, I don't know, something that's monolithic and wants to exclude all people of color, different religious backgrounds, I don't think we really have anything to talk about. So
Yeah.
that kind of was the thing that was in my spirit. Like, I really want to like push back against what I see going on here
Hmm.
through my storytelling, through my graphic novels. And
Yeah,
so
exactly. Why
that was
not?
the earliest sort of beginnings of what now is becoming my new graphic novel project. It's called Critical Race Fury, another
Hmm.
play on words. Several years ago, after the culmination of the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. And this is what I study in my career. I study Black protest movements and I study the
Yeah,
conservative right wing propaganda backlash to them. I knew there was going to be a backlash because that's
of
what happened
course.
during the civil rights. That's what happened to the Black Power movement. In fact, they labeled Martin Luther King a communist to try to
Hmm.
discredit him. Okay. They tried to say the Black Panther Party movement was just like un American, yada, yada, yada. And so I knew there was going to be a backlash movement at the time. I didn't know what form it was going to take, but here comes this big scare word, critical race theory.
Yeah.
After that, you get everything is woke. Everything is woke. It's woke, right?
Hmm.
They're using that as a way to sort of discredit anti racist,
Yeah.
progressive movements. And
Hmm.
more recently, it's been anti DEI. And it's just been used as a way to say people of color that you see in spaces and places of privilege and power where they didn't used to be, they don't belong there. They didn't earn it. They don't have the
Hmm.
intellectual intelligence or whatever experience to qualify them to be in those places and spaces. And it's just racism at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to dialogue with these people. I
Hmm.
really want to call them out in a way that shames and embarrasses them,
Hmm.
and then also provide those who are interested, regardless of your background, an anti-racist platform that shows us the history of resistance that's uncompromising. And that's what Critical Race Fury is about. It's loosely based on my life as a professor.
Hmm.
And I just have a sort of alternative alter ego where after a number of frustrations, I just decide at nighttime after I finish teaching, I'm just going to put on a mask and go out there and bait fascists, bait extremists into
Hmm.
confrontation just by showing myself,
Yeah.
not initiating physical conflict, but just
Just being
going where they
present.
are,
Yeah.
just being present, showing myself, and them not knowing my skills, right?
Hmm. Okay.
Just just whipping their asses with style. So that's
Hmm.
my character. His my fictional character's named Dr. Dylan Witherspoon, and he becomes the anti-racist vigilante Blackface X.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Hmm.
so that's Critical Race Fury.
Okay.
Most of the conflict in the book takes place in the classroom. He's trying to be a teacher, he's trying to fight for tenure in his career. For those who don't know what that is, tenure is just a word that refers to job security, uh, freedom of expression in terms of the type of academic research
Hmm.
that you're doing, and freedom from being attacked for what it is that you're researching and publishing it. When you achieve tenure, it's a very, very big deal as a university professor because it does provide you with a sense of security, and it gives you a raise, a big bump in your salary, that
Hmm.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what Dr. Dylan Witherspoon is fighting for in his career. But he's also dealing with a toxic workplace environment and university culture, which I've experienced. Thank God the university that I teach at now, it's it's actually the best place that I've been at in my career, but I've
Okay.
had some horrific experiences. And so I put that in there, but also debates in the classroom with certain students who think that
Hmm.
they know it all about Black history, American history, even Western civilization. And they're trying to test the patience of Dr. Dylan Witherspoon, but also in the community. I should tell people where this is situated. It first begins in Florida because that's where most of my teaching
Okay.
experiences begin. But he gets fired. He gets let go from an HBCU that he was teaching at. That really happened to me, actually. And he ends up in what he thinks are greener pastures. He's like, I've made it, and
Yeah.
it's a fictional university just outside of Oregon. Okay, excuse me, just outside of Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And if anybody knows anything in the United States about the Pacific Northwest, for about the past 30, 40 years, there has been various militant extremist neo-Nazi movements in that region.
Hmm.
So Dylan ends up in that region, and basically he doesn't understand that after Trump sets free pardons all of the January Sixers, they don't stop. The hardcore ones, they're like, yo, let's keep this going.
Hmm.
We want to form various chapters, organizations across the nation that fulfill our white supremacist vision. So, Portland, Oregon, just outside of it, is one of those spots where this neo Nazi white nationalist extremist movement is taking shape, and its politics are filtering into the campus politics of the
Okay.
university. And Dr. Dylan Witherspoon, a whole bunch of things are conspiring together. There's a couple of deaths that are going to make him just get utterly frustrated and become this anti-racist vigilante, just going out and kicking Nazis' asses. So that's the gist of the story.
It I love what I'm hearing, and just to bring it back to what you said when you mentioned how, hip hop back in the early, back in the 80s and 90s, when it started hitting that widespread commercial platform where, it started leaving the hood and started expanding, you know, there was that platform where a lot of people would say what they had to say. Public Enemy, you know what I'm saying? Weren't afraid. It was really they really embraced that culture, like this, we don't like this, and this is what
And
we're
the
doing.
FBI was watching them too.
But now you're not gonna see that. And the sad thing is because it's about money. You know what I'm saying? You're so, nowadays, a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone, especially, on the mainstream scene. They get into it for the money. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you listen to a lot of mainstream music today. I'm not saying all, but a lot of mainstream, you could tell like where's the art in it? You know what I'm saying? Where's the message? Any message. It doesn't have to be a political it could be
Yeah.
anything. Where's the meat and potatoes of what you're trying to say? And you don't really hear that a lot on the commercial space. And that's why I feel like in the indie scene across all media platforms, whether it's music, comic books, movies, I feel like they still hold on to that core, keep it 100 kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I love still. I would rather just continue being independent, just so I could say what I want to say without. You're not gonna please everybody. People are gonna love you and people are gonna hate you. That's just how the business works. They're gonna when they love you, they're all in, and when they hate you, you couldn't even look the wrong way and forget about it. Like it's the internet is gonna go crazy. And from a lot of projects I've read, mainstream, independent, I really feel I really like what you're saying and how you're really embracing it's just freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? Just saying what you got to say,
Yeah.
not being
Especially now.
afraid. And
Especially
now I
now,
feel like everyone's afraid to speak their mind on anything they feel is an injustice because they're like, oh, I'm gonna get somebody mad, or I'm gonna say something on social media, I'm gonna lose my job, and people are just afraid to just be them, and I'm
It's
kind of
unfortunate.
glad you're putting this project out because it's a it's like you're going against the grain, going against the status quo, and putting a voice to something, regardless whether we want to hear it, we like it or not. The world is ugly today. No matter if you're
Yeah.
left, right,
Yeah.
upside down, middle, wherever you're at, it's an ugly world. And not just here. You go anywhere, it's it's just ugly, And sometimes we need a distraction from the every 10 seconds there's a post about this person said that, this country's doing that, this person is doing that. And just can we just escape that for a second and get back to just being people, just being human,
But
So
even that is
yeah,
radical. Just being yourself and being human
yeah,
is
yeah.
radical in
Because
this
then it's
world,
like
you know?
if even if you try to like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna stay in between. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. You're just as wrong for not being on this side or that side. If you try to be neutral, now you're getting hate from both sides. Like, so you do think like them, or you do think like it's just there's no winning in this game, and it's a game. Like, why are we even playing? You know?
I have a hypothesis for that. As
Mhm.
creators and as people who not only want to create but make some money and at least pay our bills, we at least want to pay our bills, support our family, that sort of thing.
Absolutely,
I have a hypothesis about I'm willing to bet. Well, let me ask you, Malice. In some way, do you consider yourself like a nerdy dude? Like you have some nerdy interests, some comic books, that sort of thing, whatever. You consider yourself a nerd? And for me, a nerd is someone who's like
absolutely,
a very specific passion about something that you don't care if other
absolutely.
people don't like it. I love
Mm.
this thing, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And my nerd and my thing that I love the most, I love writing comic books. I love creating things, but I will always love making music. I love hip hop. And you know, I listen to a lot of the new music that's out. I could try to navigate those waters and try to be relevant, but relevancy is not something I ever wanted to achieve. I don't want to be the same. I want to be me. I want to be
That's the
different.
definition of being a nerd. Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like I put out, you know, I I'm in my 40s and people like, "Man, why do you still rap in your 40s?" I'm like, "Because I love it." And second, I'm good at it. I'm good, Am I the greatest? I mean, that's an opinion-based question, you know what I'm saying? But I'm good at it, and why not? This is the easiest way for me to open up and tell you how I'm feeling. Like I suffer from bipolar depression, and it's hard for me to speak about that to people, but I
Mm,
could
mm.
easily talk about that
Through hip hop,
with
yeah, you
give
can.
me 16 bars and I'll tell you why I'm sad. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk about my suicide ideations just through
Mm.
music, not to embrace it, but to speak about it. You know what I'm
Pharaoh
saying?
Monch, Pharaoh Monch is a big advocate for that.
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
lately,
I love Pharaoh Monch. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone always remembers Pharaoh Monch for, Simon Says. Of course. That's always gonna be one of the greatest Pharaoh Monch songs ever. But that man he's got a lot to say. And I love
yeah,
to hear what he's got to
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah, yeah,
now, he's got a lot to say. And he's
yeah.
great at it.
Yeah, he's
You know?
lived, and so the reason why I asked you, do you consider yourself a nerd, which you answered in a way that I couldn't even answer for myself,
Mhm.
but yeah, being yourself, that sort of thing, is because as creative people, as nerds, my hypothesis is this: the reason why you should just do what you want to do to please yourself, like speak to your own creative passions.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet, Malice, the things that you're interested in as a nerd, there's probably millions of other. This planet is big. There's
Yeah.
probably millions, if not maybe at least 1 billion other people out there that are interested in the thing that you're interested in,
Exactly.
right? And so you
Exactly.
might as well do it.
Hmm.
Like, don't really, okay, maybe if that's your thing, you want mass appeal, I can't really knock that, especially if you become some kind of billionaire, that sort of thing. But
Hmm.
I'm really speaking to folks who are not really interested in that, and you want to be true to yourself,
Yeah.
and you're looking maybe for courage to do it. So I guess
Hmm.
my advice is this hypothesis that I'm saying. I'm willing to bet you're not the only nerd who's interested in the nerdy things that you're interested in. There's
Hmm.
probably a whole bunch of other folks out there,
Yeah.
and maybe they just don't have the courage, and maybe they're looking for a hero, a
Yeah.
creative hero,
Hmm.
to put something out that speaks to their nerdy spirit. And they're
Hmm.
like, yo, because we as nerds, when we find something we like, we
Well, we
become
love we
obsessed.
love hard. When
Yes,
we love
yes, yeah,
we love
yeah,
hard, we'll risk the mortgage. Like when
yes, yeah.
we love hard, and
So
that's the
that's a reason
good
to do
thing.
it.
Yeah, that's to me, of course, everybody, like I've said this thousands of times, we all want to we would love to put out projects and get rich and never have to worry about money and our kids' kids and our future generations are good of what we built. Of course, that's always the dream. But just the love of just your craft. Is, you know, if 10 people read my comic book, I'm good with, I'm good with that, because 10 strangers I don't know from a
Yeah,
hole in the wall decided to spend however dollars on a book, or spend any kind of their hard-earned money, especially in this kind of economy,
yeah.
on me to consume what I'm trying to say. That's a big progress for me. You know what I'm saying?
And if
That's
you
a
think about
big
it,
leap.
that's not an easy thing to do. Even to
It's
get
not.
10 people to see what you took out of your head and put
Hmm.
into reality and get them to, as you said, part ways with their hard-earned money, even 10 people. That's not
Yeah.
easy. That's
No.
not easy. And so for me, if it's 10 people, it's got to be
Yeah.
way many more than 10 folks. You just probably haven't reached them yet. You haven't
Hmm.
gotten to those folks yet. So
Yeah.
you got to go to these comic conventions,
You got to
maybe
work.
do some kind of digital platform. You got to find your audience wherever they are. But I'm willing to bet the rest of you nerds out there, those thousands or millions of other nerds are waiting for you to create
Yeah.
whatever idea you have and put it out there, and they'll fall in love with it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm willing to bet.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
know?
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I've been on two different sides of entertainment. I've done the music, I've done the shows, I've done the performances. I've gotten the love from the crowds and the audience. But doing now, stopping that and going a different lane, now going into, the comic books and pop culture and all this, it's kind of the same, but it's not, because I
Yeah.
even me, I feel the love that they give you on this side is is different. It's
Hmm.
different. Like, I could perform in front of thousands, which I have, without a care in the world. Like, when I'm on stage, I'm home, I'm at work, and I love it. I am my genuine self when I'm on stage. I remember being going to my first Comic Con, and having the table there. I was nervous as shit. Like, oh my God. I mean, it's so easy for me to be around people and be on and be this character, but I felt it would my kind of character be embraced, who I am would
Hmm.
be embraced in this kind of culture. Like, you know, I'm very rugged. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm born and raised in the city. I'm Puerto Rican. I came, we came from the slums, and we're trying to do what we can do, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I still talk the way I talk, and I act the way I act, you know what I mean? And I always felt like, am I maybe a little too much? Because, before you step into this you step into this community, you kind of get, like a stereotype, like, oh, nerds, and they're quiet and they're nervous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nah, man, they just so focused. That's what it
yeah.
is. They are
That's a good definition.
focused. They are
Yeah, yeah,
focused on the love of what they're doing. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, I've come across a bunch of different creators, and people just like me. They're very animated, and I love it. But for the most part, they're very quiet, sitting at their table, but they're tuned in to their craft. It's work
yeah.
25. They're working while at work. Because when you're at a convention center at a table, you're working. But while they're working, they're working. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like,
true. It's
and
true. Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what I love. They the love is so genuine here, and the hate is just as genuine. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I,
yeah.
you know, to me, I feel like if you're gonna hate me, you, you just love me that much more. That you're gonna spend money to read or listen or consume my my projects, my media, just to say you hate me. And that's fine either way. You know, either way, you're paying me, So
Yeah,
I
still being
feel like,
noticed.
and I feel like if you don't get hate, you're kind of not doing something right, because I feel like haters contribute more to
Hmm,
you, because
hmm,
we're at an age where it's not about the talent anymore. It's about the views.
hmm, hmm,
It's about how many people are seeing your content. You could be the greatest artist in the world, the best writer in the world. If no one is interacting with your content, They're not seeing your content. Where is it going? It ain't
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah.
nowhere. And that's the you could be the best MC in the world. If no one is interacting with your content, you're not gonna really it's gonna be hard to get where you want to get to. But if you look at some of the successes in these influencers or these people who got famous and got big just off social media with no real heart and talent, they'll have all this fame for literally 15 minutes and then they're you know what I'm saying? Like it's all about views. So if you're gonna hate me, great. But by hating what I'm putting out, you're you're making my platform stronger because you're watching. You want to find something to hate. So you're gonna start interacting with my content, and now you're starting, debates and conversations. Because you look at something somebody will put up, whether it's a meme or or anything, you start a lot of people just go right to the comments to see the craziness that is gonna be in the comments. There's people watching their eyes, and it just what these big comments are looking for are how many times it was viewed.
Mm,
Like, how many times? Oh, it's got 50,000 views. Great. Let's invest in that. It could be the worst thing ever, but it's got 5 million views. So there's got to be
yeah.
some money in it, And I feel like that's where entertainment kind of lost focus,
Mm,
where now it's all based a lot of it is it's based on views, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you need a fan base, of course. You got to develop having a fan base and having views are two different things, you know what I'm saying? Because just because people are watching, they're not really, I feel like they're not engaging. You can watch, but engagement are two different things.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
they came across your song or your comic book on social media. Did they go to your website and buy it? Did they go to Spotify and play your music? Are they following you? Like, you know, to me, that's why I feel like, yeah, views are important, but if there's no engagement, like what are you really investing in? And I feel like that's why a lot of stuff we're getting on a mainstream level is a lot of it kind of just falls flat on
yeah,
all forms of media, not just. I don't want to stick on one subject because it's everywhere. A lot of the mainstream media we consume just it 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 falls flat because they're focusing on the wrong aspect. I get, you want to make money, but sometimes you've got to take the risk for a
yeah,
bigger reward, and that's why I do this. Like, yeah, this I don't, and I'm pretty sure, a lot of creators, you especially, feel this is hard work and this comes out of pocket. This
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
I don't have a big machine behind me that's pumping in millions. And no, this is coming out of
I
what I
wish I had
have
a team.
left.
I wish I had a
Yeah.
team of just 5 folks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
this comes out of what I have left over after trying to survive the month. You know what I'm saying? Like, putting, whatever project I'm putting together is loose, is whatever I have left over to make my dreams happen. And that's why I feel like, it, it gets kind of hard sometimes, but knowing that you've got even 10 people that like your material, I feel, but that's 10 genuine people that are liking, following, watching, sharing, better than 100 people that are doing nothing.
and if they love your stuff, they're probably going to tell like 10 other people,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. And people ask me, you do music, you this, you do, like, why you do so many things? I was like, it's not because I don't want people to buy my comic books or buy my music or buy my this. I don't sell none of that. I'm not a comic book, but what I sell is me.
Mm,
I'm the product. So because if you're invested in me, and this is why I feel like, this will help, like, the thought process with especially indie creators, and you should be the investment. You know what I'm saying? Because
mm, mm.
when people that are following you and they're genuinely invested in what you do, if they're invested in you as the creator, anything you put out, they're gonna consume, they're gonna buy it, they're gonna follow
Yeah,
it, they're gonna share it. Look at even when it comes to clothing, you know, I have not wore anything but Nikes and Jordans forever. Why? Because I am loyal to the brand, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How many times these companies they put out the wildest things and we consume it, we pay for it, we spend crazy amounts of money because the brand, you know, and I feel, and I'm tapping into my business sense here. One thing as a creator, I feel like you gotta get it right too if you really want to make this your 9 to 5 and your future bread and butter. You need to be the product. You should be the product. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah, yeah.
feel like, you know, that's where the real money and investment is gonna come from, you know?
Can we talk about like the creative process and
Oh yeah,
the difficulties
definitely.
and that sort of thing?
Definitely. I
Like
definitely want to touch on that too because this is a rocky road. So
yes.
while you're, since you started putting out, all your projects starting from day one, like what was that, how was that path that you've had to walk
So
from then to today?
let me just say first of all, as an all around creative person, if I'm not creating in a way
Mm-hmm.
that I have a goal to finish a project and put it out there in
Yeah.
whatever way, I feel like I'm disrespecting myself if I don't honor my creative desires. If I
Yeah.
don't, like you talked about depression and that, yeah, I could probably fall into a state of depression if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's that powerful of a force
Oh
within me
yeah.
and my spirit. Number one. So even if I feel like I'm going to fail at this thing, I have to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I failed. The question has been answered. Let me move on to the next project. Boom.
Exactly.
So that's the motivation for me, number one. Then there's the okay, how do we bring this thing into reality? Like, I got to sit down, take some notes, study. Okay, let me, for example, give you my fear initially about going to comic conventions and putting my product out there, because that's a test. If you
Yeah.
think about it, it's a test of the viability of your
Mm-hmm.
idea, okay? Because people are passing by of all different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in a sea, you're in an ocean of competition.
Oh yeah.
So if somebody stops at your table, you've achieved something very great. I'm not talking about them spending money yet, but just stopping and looking at your product. What's
Mm-hmm.
this? Can I check it out?
Yeah.
Like you've taken something out of your head, you've put it into reality, and you've put it in a sea of an ocean of competition, and
Mm-hmm.
someone decided to stop. They had all of these other places to stop at and decided to stop at your table. Number one. Now, okay, you got them at your table. Hopefully you've, I don't know, arranged your table in a way where it's very inviting. Hopefully people can maybe pick up your product if you have comic books and touch it. That's one of the things that I do. Like I
Yeah.
like these very glossy type of feel. And I always
Mm-hmm.
tell folks, feel free to read. You can read the whole thing right here if you want, right? Because then that keeps them at my table longer,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But before I even got to my first tabling at
Mm-hmm.
professional comic conventions, I volunteered in Florida at the biggest, it should still be the biggest in South Florida comic convention called the Florida SuperCon. I
Okay.
volunteered with a friend of mine. He has a company, and I did 2 years in a row. Just whatever he asked me to do, just volunteering. But I had free time. And then during that free time, I would just walk around and look at people's tables, their setup. And some people had some awesome setups. Like it was like
Mm.
almost like a store. You could walk into the store, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
So there's a whole, I'm talking about that as a, for example, to talk about like the whole creative process that goes into just
Mm.
displaying your products for people at a comic convention. You have to put a lot of thought into that,
Yeah.
but also make it be a reflection of who you are as well.
Mm.
Yes, keep in mind, what do other tables look like? What's the standard? But personalize it for yourself. Like, how does this reflect you? But as far as the comic books, that really was, I wouldn't recommend getting into the comic book business the way that I did. Like, I took a chance and I put a lot of money into it
Mm-hmm.
without really doing the proper homework to know, do I have something that's viable? I just took it. I just really was like crazy obsessed with how good I thought my idea was. Oh, awesome. Musical freedom fighters in a post apocalypse fighting, using the creative expression to liberate humanity from tyranny. And I
Hmm.
kept thinking of my formative years in terms of my falling in love with cartoons. I come from the era of G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats.
Hmm.
And
Oh
that's
yeah.
how I was thinking like that Avant Guardians would look like, that
Hmm.
classic 1980s action hero type of thing.
Hmm.
Just seeing the opening theme song of Thundercats, like I had that in mind, or G.I. Joe or
Hmm.
Transformers. And so I just became taken by that passion and I just dove into it. I hired a friend of mine. I met in middle school. We were in art class. I can draw, but I'm not really, really quick and fast and talented at, let's say, like anime
Yeah.
illustrations. So I have a friend of mine who's better than me than that. And that's Matari Bain.
Hmm.
I haven't seen him in a while. I think he's still in North Carolina, but I hired him first. I had to harass him. Come on, Matari, like do this. So
Yeah.
he did like the first 3 issues, I think. Then I had another friend who did one issue. He was in that same middle school art class. He was more
Yeah.
Matari's friend. He did one issue. And then I moved out here to Colorado. So I had to find like some new folks.
Hmm.
And I found a dude overseas in Indonesia. He
Hmm.
did a bunch of issues that I have to catch up with. When I
Yeah.
say catch up with, I always have my artists do the black and white, the penciling and the
Yeah.
inking, and I
Hmm.
always do the coloring of Avant
Okay.
Guardians. So I'm the colorist, I'm the writer, the creator, and the colorist. I'm
Okay.
also a musician. I do the music for Avant Guardians as well too. If you
Nice.
go on Amazon, you can find Avant Guardians, The Future of Music, Volume One. You can find my
Hmm.
CD there and that sort of thing. Now, where this next project is concerned, I found another company called Meta Comic. I found them on Facebook, and I think they're also based in Indonesia. And they
Hmm.
give a really, really good price for colored, colored and lettered comic books. So, because I don't have time. Like I'm an artist, but I don't have time with my
Yeah.
career. And
Hmm.
also as a musician, like I practice guitar every day to sit down and do the line
Hmm.
art, then do the inking and do the coloring. So I hired them to do everything for
Hmm.
Critical Race Fury. I wanted to do the coloring, but I was like, yo, I don't have that kind of time. I'm
Yeah.
behind on Avant Guardians. So, like you said about coming out of the pocket, I came out of the pocket. I paid them for that. And so that's why I'm doing this Kickstarter campaign, my very first one next month,
Okay.
to try to raise back the funds to pay for the money that I spent on
Yeah.
paying
Hmm.
to create the comic book, but also to pay for the printing. And also just to like, I need to put a little bit of money in my pocket so I can
Yeah.
have future projects that I have in mind that I
Exactly.
haven't even
Hmm.
started yet. So that's kind of the gist of my creative
Hmm.
process. It's very like non-linear and kind of like in the chaos of my professional life,
Hmm.
figuring out how can I make a little bit of time to do my creative passions. That's pretty much it for me,
Yeah,
you know?
because we got, we also we got life we gotta handle. We got work, we got family, we got this and we got that. And sometimes like it's hard to
Yeah.
we have to try to carve out, even if it's an hour a day, to
And it adds up. That hour a
it
day
adds
adds
up.
up.
That hour a day, that's 7 hours a week, and especially if you trying to wear multiple hats, be the writer, the colorer, it's a lot of work. That's why, like, I've never when I first started, I thought I needed every like a person to fully draw everything. And then one of the artists that I wound up the first artist that I work with that didn't try to scam me, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, and there's
For
that.
real.
I didn't even get into
Because
that stuff. There's that. You're right.
starting off, you don't know. You don't really
Yeah.
know how to navigate these waters. And unfortunately, we're at a time where and it's so many scams out there. It's you don't
Yeah.
know what to, and sometimes you gotta learn that lesson the hard way. So, he told me, I can do it, but the it's gonna take longer because after I do this, then I gotta go back and do this. He's like, it would make sense if you're trying to, you know, if you're trying to do more than one a year, I'll do this, hire a colorist to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so once I'm done with that, and that person is doing that, I can work on the next thing, and I said, that makes a lot of sense because I like to I don't know. I like to get things done, not quick, but in a timely fashion. And, I try to get at least 2 projects out a year, maybe three if I'm lucky. But I
That's good,
also
man. That's
I
good.
also go too far ahead of myself, and I know that.
It
You know
happens. It
that
happens.
Yeah, but I just get excited. That's what it is. It's not the rush of trying to make money. It's the rush of I'm excited. I want to put this out. I want you guys to read. I want you guys to consume it. I want feedback. Like it. You know what I'm saying? Like here's my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like and embrace it. Do something with it. Like I don't know. That's just me. But one thing this podcast, like I said, also, the main focus is aside from just coming across new creators and, their great projects is what it's like to be a creator and where we started. And it's like I just said, it's a lot of times it's an ugly process, especially when it's you alone.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like I said, there's so many people that are scamming, and not only that, it's expensive.
yeah, yeah.
And it's more expensive now than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, especially post-pandemic,
Oh my
everything has gone up in
God.
cost. Yeah,
Oh my God. And I'm not saying like, cheap is better, but like I said, this is coming out of my pocket. I still gotta live life first. I've got to make
yeah,
sure rent is paid, bills are paid, and there's food in the fridge, kids are taken care of. I still got my life I got to take care of. And hopefully, whatever pennies I got left over, I
yeah.
can get a page or two knocked out every time I get paid. So,
You're
I,
not a
I
big
want to.
corporation. You're just an
Yeah,
individual.
we
Yeah,
don't have the machine with millions behind us to, if we make some mistakes, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out later. But no, we make a mistake. That mistakes are costly, you know. And I want this to be kind of a tool where, new people or even people already kind of in the independent scene to kind of learn from
hmm.
everyone else, like
That's good.
they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
haven't gotten to, they're starting, they started writing or they started drawing and they're about to step foot in that, like listen to our great stories, but also listen to the horror stories. You know what I'm saying? So
It's true.
because just like with any business, it's not it's a huge learning curve. Huge
Yeah.
learning curve. It's a huge learning curve, and trying to like Google something, you're gonna just be overloaded with so much information. So with that, what advice would you have for the upcoming creator on just how to navigate this field, not only as a person creating the content, but someone trying to make this a business, and be fruitful in some way?
I mean, if you want to take it seriously as a business, then you should probably work on a business plan.
Hmm.
And you can go on YouTube and you can watch. It doesn't have to be a comic book media company business. You can just watch drawing up a basic business plan for any type of business, like
Yeah.
making water bottles. Like, what does that look like? So you get the basic concept of this is I should do this step, that step. Now, I'm not saying you need to follow that to the T, but you need some kind of foundation, some kind of
Yeah.
structure in order to tame the chaos of what you have in your head.
Hmm.
Especially as creative people, we have a lot of ideas going on, but
Yeah.
what is that going to look like in reality? So, if you want to take it seriously as a business, draw up a business plan and keep in mind the business plan doesn't mean when I execute it in reality, it's going to look 100% like what it looked like on paper. It's just a plan.
Yeah.
Reality is going to throw some curveballs at you, okay?
Very much
And
so.
the plan gives you a foundation so you can like move to the side and avoid the curveball. Or if you get
Hmm.
hit, I can fall back on my
Yeah.
foundation, you
Hmm.
know?
Gives you some expectation
Yeah,
of what
yes.
to
And
look
you
out
can go
for.
back and you can revise
Hmm.
the plan as well too, you
Hmm.
know? So that would be the first thing. This is probably the biggest thing I can say. Protect your intellectual property.
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
does that mean?
that's a
As
big
soon
thing.
as you as soon as you can, when you have enough product, and that could be one illustration, it could be an entire comic book, it can be just the script, the comic script for your book. Go to the government website, I think it's copyright.gov.gov. I think that's what it
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
And follow the steps to copyright
Yeah.
your literature or your images in
Hmm.
your name or your
Yeah.
company's name.
Hmm.
That's the first step in protecting your intellectual property.
Yeah.
Then let's say your business, you got a business name. Let's say you have an LLC, limited liability corporation,
Hmm.
and you have some, you got a logo, you got a company name. Like let's say you're making it for you. It's becoming a business. You might want to think about trademarking
Yep.
your
Hmm.
logo, your name. That's a lot more costly. Okay, a
Yeah.
copyright right now, I think it's about $50, right?
It's in
Per
that range, and as far as trademarking, it's upwards of $400. Upwards.
it's yeah, yes, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
If you're trying to, okay, I've done three trademarks through Legal Zoom
Hmm.
because some of that stuff can be complicated.
Yeah.
For me in the past, it's been about the whole process from start to finish, $1,500, about 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I haven't done one in maybe about five, maybe 3 or 4 years. So I don't know
Hmm.
what it costs now, but I'm saying Avant Guardians, I own the trademark too. You can
Yeah.
go look it up. You can see my name, that sort of thing. It costs me about $1,500 because even if it fails, okay, I wasted 1,500. But this is the reason why I'm saying this. What if your project, what if your company blows up?
Hmm.
Sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a creator is success.
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? Because maybe you didn't do the necessary homework, the necessary due diligence to protect your intellectual property, to protect yourself. You blew up, you start making all of this money, and there's a lot of horror story examples. Oh, let me use the two greatest examples. Stan Lee,
Hmm.
right? In Marvel Comics, he is responsible. What would you say is the percentage? 60, 70% of the Marvel characters, Stan
Oh
Lee, or
yeah.
maybe more?
Yeah. Hmm.
But
Absolutely. In
but
that range.
he came up at a time where you just weren't concerned about copywriting, trademarking your creations. And
Hmm.
so when Marvel started putting out movies in the modern era, I think with the X-Men, year 2000,
Hmm.
I think after a while, you can Google this, they worked out a deal with him where they were paying him $1 million a year. Okay. This is before he died, of course.
Hmm.
And that's a drop in the bucket. That's pennies because he created Marvel
Yeah. Hmm.
essentially. So this guy should be paid maybe $1 billion
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. $1 million against the returns that these, and
Yeah.
not only just returns off the movies. Merch is always the biggest money
Yes.
maker. Merch
Yes.
is always the biggest money
Marvel
maker.
underwear, Marvel socks, Marvel water bottles, whatever it
Everything.
is.
You get everything
Not
Marvel.
the alternative example to that, someone who's in the extreme opposite direction of Stan Lee, is George Lucas.
Hmm.
George Lucas against first of all, the company, I think it was Fox, 20th Century Fox, they didn't even believe in Star Wars. They just thought it was
Hmm.
ridiculous. Okay. This guy believed in his vision so much. He wanted absolute ownership over the rights to the name Star Wars.
Hmm.
And people didn't understand why until you started seeing Star Wars appear on lunch boxes,
Hmm.
on
Yeah.
underwear, on bed sheets, hats, t-shirts, right? That's where the real money was being made.
Merch.
And then what year? Do you remember what year it was? He sold for 4 billion to Disney, I
Oh
think it
man,
was.
that was like what, the mid 2000s or
Yeah.
early like 2010s.
And he's
He
still making
sold it.
residuals off of that,
Yeah.
of course.
Hmm.
So I give those two examples.
Hmm.
Both are awesome genius creators.
Hmm.
One, for whatever reason, I don't know the full biography of Stan Lee,
Hmm.
wasn't able to uh, do the due diligence of protecting his intellectual property. Yeah, the guy died a rich man, but how much more wealthy should he have been?
Yeah, exactly.
Versus George Lucas, who not only had a vision for his creation, but had a vision for his business, and he
Hmm.
understood his value, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. You
Hmm.
know,
Absolutely. I also think that has to do with the the times they were set in. You talking about, early Marvel on a business sense, that it probably wasn't that much of a, like you said, it wasn't that much of a thought to even try to copyright or trademark things like that. But when you get to like the late 70s, where a lot of things are starting to become commercial, you
People
know?
are collecting comics as like souvenirs, and they're
Yeah.
increasing in value. And
hmm
yeah,
Because of the Stan Lees is why, the George Lucases started. That's when you started taking IP seriously, you know, and that's why, yeah, you protect, even like you said, even if it's one page, protect your
yeah,
assets. That's your
yes.
IP, because
Because
somebody's gonna steal your stuff and make more money off it than you are, and that's
and
gonna
if
suck.
and if you protected, if you properly protected your intellectual property, and and someone steals your stuff, and let's say it's a big company that steals your idea, and they didn't know that you protected your thing, man, you're an instant
Yeah,
multimillionaire. Like it's
yeah.
almost like, yeah, go ahead and steal my stuff,
hmm
please.
Yeah.
Like, because
hmm
my stuff is thoroughly protected, you
Yeah.
know.
And
But
now
again,
that
if
contract, it could go in your favor. Like, you know what? You
exactly,
stole my stuff, but I kind of like where you want to go with it. So how do you want to make this money?
exactly,
I have power over how this contract is going to go because it is mine. It is mine on paper and it is mine on every. So that now the contract works in your favor, because nobody's going to give you a favorable contract, especially
no,
for somebody coming up from nowhere, unless your name has produced money. George Lucas's, Stan Lee's, they'll get, their name is is worth it. Oh yeah, we'll definitely, let's throw $1 billion at him. Well, nobody's gonna throw $1 billion at you, especially in your first contract. But if someone, if a Netflix or somebody comes and, oh, I doubt they did anything with it. We're gonna steal it, and next thing you know, look, I got the paperwork. So you know what? Let's move forward with the movie. But how much are
yeah,
you willing to spend? And
exactly,
what's
yeah,
my cut? Because I work with you. If I feel like you got something good, I'll work with you, but it's on my terms now. Now you
yeah,
can dictate the terms. But yeah, and that's some great advice, because I feel like what a lot of creators forget is that part of it. Like, you're putting a comic together, it's already a business. Once you sit down and you decide to say, I want to write a comic book and produce it and publish it and provide it, you started a business. So it's good. You got the creative side down, but now you have to start thinking about protection. You got to start thinking about how to make sure you protect yourself as a business, because you are, like it or
yeah,
not, you're a business. You're spending money to go to a convention and sit there. You're trying to make money while you're there. It's business.
yeah,
Unless you're writing comics and drawing comics and putting them out for free for the hell of it, then that's the hobby. But if you want to make $1, that's a business. Protect your business. And that's the probably the biggest gem that I've heard so far, is that, like, protect it. Copyright, trademark. It's expensive. Nobody said this business was cheap, but what it could protect you from, it's priceless. Like you said, somebody, if Netflix steals if a Netflix company, something big like that, steals your IP that you didn't protect, now they making billions of dollars off merch and movies and this and that, and you made $50. Who's gonna be mad? They're not gonna be mad.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You could probably sue and get something, but you're not gonna get a fraction of what they're coming in, what they're bringing in. But on that note, I do want to thank you for joining us today. It was a great conversation. I cannot wait to continue reading your projects, because, like I said, especially hip hop, I love hip hop, and I'm gonna have all the links and everything right here, on the channel. But yeah, thank you for joining us today, and you know, like, share, follow, and I hope we definitely get you on another episode when you got when the next project comes out.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, man. Thank you for this platform.
Yo, absolutely. Thanks for giving me a chance to even, just sit down and just shoot the shit with each other. I greatly appreciate it. But on that note, I just want to thank you, and everybody have a great night. So how's it going, everybody? Today got Dan Barlow with us today. He's got a couple of projects. He's a creator and artist. He's got the project called The Devil's Contract out, and now he's got a new Kickstarter launching, correct? It's called Frank Gunn, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Frank Gunn.
Sweet, sweet. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for giving us this new podcast and opportunity. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about yourself, Just let the world know who we are.
All right, yeah. My name's Dan Barlow. I'm here in Dayton, Ohio, birthplace of aviation, home of the Wright brothers. I've been making comics. I've been doing comic book art for other small publishers for
Uh-huh.
years. Going back to 99, 2000, and all that here and there, and then finally in 2022. Uh, I just went ahead and decided to jump in with everyone else and create a book. I had some ideas floating
Hmm.
around. And so I put out my first book under Mind Grind Comics. That's
Hmm.
the name of the company I came up with. And the first book was The Devil's Contract. And that is a story right now. It's about uh, mercenaries with special abilities
Okay.
that are hired to track down monsters, and I am working on issue 6 of that
Hmm.
currently, and that should be coming out uh, late spring, early summer. I
Nice.
so that's that's right here. This is the collected trade of the first 3 issues,
Nice.
and um, also I did a book last year with another writer from another company, Electromagnetic Press, bunch of cool dudes from
Hmm.
Virginia and New York and all that. And this is my other book, Mr. Love. That's about Cupid, who's bad at his job, and he's on trial for messing up.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think he really is bad at his job.
yeah, yeah. So I got those books. I had a superhero book called Instant that I put out. I want to say almost 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, so what I'm doing with that right now is we're getting ready to release the trade.
Okay.
I did some more pages, bunch more artwork, and so that all takes place in Dayton. And so yeah, that's going to be coming out hopefully late spring, early summer as well. Frank Gunn, my new project coming out this month. We're going to launch on Kickstarter this month.
Okay.
That's about Frankenstein's monster in World War II, how the
Hmm.
Nazis was using Frankenstein's, I'm gonna say like lab and materials and ideas and stuff to create the ultimate soldier. And what happens is the monster falls into the hands of the Allied, like a special team of Allied soldiers that's sent behind enemy lines because they heard word
Hmm.
of a top secret. And that book is one of my first projects that has public domain characters in it.
Hmm.
There's a character called the Face. He's going to be in it. I kind of put a twist on it. I won't give it away, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, and then hopefully in the next couple of issues, I'll have cameos with other public domain uh, superheroes from the wartime, World War II era. And so, yeah, man, that's what I do. I mean, it's not my full time job.
Hmm.
Uh, my full time job is in an office at a cubicle. You know,
Okay.
so that's what when you got a job that just kind of feels like it sucks the life out of you. I mean, it's a good
Hmm.
job. Don't get me wrong. I'm blessed to have it. But when you got a job that you toil at all day, it could be anything, right? And then you get home and then you sit down at that table and you work on that book, that dream.
Yeah.
That's when
That's
you really start to kick in, right?
hmm.
That's to me, that's living right.
Oh yeah. Oh, it looks like you froze for a second. Oh, look like you froze for a second, but
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought you
looks like you're
froze.
back on.
So
But yeah, no,
yeah,
like
so
I feel you. It's kind of like a an escape from the mundane of the nine to
yeah,
five grind, and you get to escape into to where you want to be. Even if it's for an hour or two at a time a day, just working on on your craft, on what really makes you make it something that you really want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It always
Oh,
feels therapeutic to me,
yes,
and
very
I
therapeutic.
tell there's other creators I know, dudes that haven't been published yet and they want to get published. And I tell them every day, don't let a day go by without at least spending, it could be 10 minutes, it could be a half hour, spending some time on your project, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I do try to do every night. Um, last night I finished up thumbnails for, I'm penciling, excuse me, I'm penciling a book for another publisher that's been around for like 25 years called Freestyle Comics. They're
Okay.
out of Columbus, Ohio. A bunch of cool dudes. I see them at shows around Ohio, and they liked my work, and so they asked, if I could draw an issue for them.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to do that. Just more so kind of get the word out. They've been around a lot longer. They got a bigger audience,
Yeah,
and that will expose more people to my stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and so yeah, taking a break from my projects for a second. Try to bang out the best pencils I can bang and see what happens. And but yeah, man, you got every day. It's work, but it's good work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hmm.
So and that's what it's all about. I know a lot of indie creators. They got big dreams and stuff, and they want to get there. Uh, but if you ain't willing to put in the work, you might as
Yeah.
well just stop. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
this is it's hard work.
Yeah,
It could take a toll. It
yeah,
definitely can, especially initially getting started, especially if you don't kind of you have no idea what you're doing and just
yeah,
trying to figure it out as you go along. It can be quite an adventure, good
yeah.
and bad.
And the good thing about it seems like so like I do a lot of that stuff on my own,
Yeah.
and so when I was putting out the Devil's Contract issues, I would hire someone to do the colors on the cover. It's black and white interiors. And
Hmm.
then I found a letterer online as well. And so there's some very good talent for hire
Yeah.
that you can bring along with you, and you start to build relationships with other creators like that.
Hmm.
And then there's other people making indie comics on the scene that's, man, a lot of people's been very helpful. A lot of podcasts and shows.
Yeah.
You're picking up ideas, what they've gone through, their trials, what worked for them, and some of
Hmm.
that stuff you could apply to yourself. What it might work for you. So it's always good to
Absolutely.
check in that. When I do art, I have a hard time kicking on movies and shows because I always want to look up at the TV, and so I mostly just listen to comic podcasts or music.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Hmm.
I used to DJ for I had the DJ business for about 18 years. So I listen to a little bit of everything in music.
Okay.
But, sometimes you pull up a good soundtrack and just play that in the background. That
Yep.
helps some visuals come to
Yeah.
mind. So,
It definitely sets that vibe.
yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah.
need to really get into, and sometimes once you get into that vibe, now it's just off to the races, you know.
Yeah, there's an artist, popular artist, Cal Holtz. He works
Okay.
for Marvel and DC. Um, he's local. He lives near here, and on Facebook, man, it seems like every day he has a huge record collection. Every day, this is what I'm listening to right now, and because this cat, I mean, he's doing covers for Marvel and all that, so he's putting in 12 to 14-hour days,
Yeah.
trying to get art done, and
Hmm.
so it's always interesting to see what some of the pros are doing.
Oh yeah.
What are they listening to and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
It's hard because it's in a way, it's like when you're doing art, you can't have any distractions. Now, I mean, I'm married, got a wife, 3 kids, and family's great and all that. And so if they need something, I got to break away and take care of business. But
Yeah.
when it's art time, normally that's when everyone is kind of gone to bed. I should be going to bed because I got to work in the morning, but you can't. You
You gotta
can't go to
find your
bed because
time. Yeah.
if that page is sitting on your desk, it calls your name.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. I cannot go to bed if there's something on my mind that I need to at least get started. It will drive me nuts until I at least show it some attention. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
whether it's, let me I got an idea for a story. Let me just write it down or something. I
hmm
cannot, my brain is like, no, you need to get up and at least start the ball. Then you could go
yeah,
to bed.
yeah. If you're a writer, you got to have a notepad with
hmm
you. If you're an
Oh yeah.
artist, you can have a little sketch pad with you. I mean,
hmm
on my lunch break
hmm
out the sketch pad, sketch up some ideas.
Oh yeah.
It's weird. You never know when inspiration is going to hit you. You could be
Yeah.
driving to work, get hit with it.
hmm
You know,
It comes
it,
anywhere,
yeah.
anywhere,
Unfortunately,
anywhere.
it hits me when I'm at work during the day. I'm like, shit, I need to write this down. But nah,
Now,
now,
I
now
know
you
you do the artwork. Do you also write as well? So you like the writer and the artist?
for the Devil's Contract, I have been.
Okay.
Uh, it was one of those things where I did work for several other publishers,
Yep.
several other indie publishers, and I took a break. I took about 9 years off,
hmm
and so when I decided to get back in the game, I was dealing with some health issues. I was going through cancer and I was treatments and all that, and so it kind of drove me
hmm
that tomorrow is never promised, and I need to get these ideas done.
Yeah.
I want to leave my mark in this world, just in case I ain't here one of these days. So I said, you know what? I reached out to a couple of people and they was like, nah, I'm not doing comics anymore. I'm like, all right, cool. And I
hmm
just said, you know what? I'll just do it myself. I'll just write it
Yeah.
myself and go with it.
Exactly.
I kind of got some ideas, and then I have some friends. I tell them some stuff, and they're like, yeah, man, that sounds
hmm
pretty good. Or nah, I think maybe you should go a different direction. So I kind of write it, but for Frank Gunn, that was so some of the projects, Mr. Love and Frank Gunn. I had the artwork done. I was doing the Marvel method. I had a plot, and then I just start breaking down pages and knocking out pages, and then finally going to shows and stuff like that. I found a guy that says, "Hey, man, I like I write comics and stuff here and there." And they're kind of like me. They don't have a lot of work out there,
hmm
and they're trying to look for that opportunity, that shot, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, you know what? Take a chance on me. I'll take a chance on you and see what we can come up with. And sometimes it works out, sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't. For Frank Gunn, I did the artwork back. I did about 13, 14 pages. I had the idea back in 2010, right? And I kind of shelved it. But I had somebody else ink it, and his inks didn't really flow with my pencils. He was adding all kinds of shit. I was like, man, I didn't draw this,
Yeah.
but it just didn't work out. So I redid a lot of
hmm
that artwork, and I found a guy at Free Comic Book Day, which, by the way, that's a tough sell. If you're not a known name, it's hard to sell your stuff at a comic book shop when people come in once a year to get free comics,
Yeah.
right? They walk right past me. Hey man, I ain't paying $5 for your book. I don't know who you are. So
Yeah, especially if they don't know who you are. They're like,
right,
we're here for the purpose of free stuff. I mean, for
right.
the most part, like we're here to not spend money, so
Yeah,
we're trying to
exactly.
keep that going.
Yeah. So I found a writer, this dude, man, he just like, yeah, man, I like writing. And I said, and he picked up a copy of my Instant comic, the superhero book I did. And I said, well, check it out. Tell me what you think. He lives like maybe a half hour from me down towards Cincinnati. And I said, tell me what you think. And, let's talk, throw some ideas. So this has been a long time coming. That was like a year and a half ago, and we started working on the follow up to the superhero story. And I said, hey, just conversation. I said, man, dude, I got this Frankenstein World War II book. I'm thinking about dusting it off and putting
hmm
it out there and see what people dig, man. Because I want variety on my table now.
Yeah.
And I hate to bounce around sometimes because I would like to finish up the story arc for Devil's Contract. I'm looking at 8 issues, maybe 9.
hmm
Um, but like I said, I was like, you get to a show, you have people come up, and most of them are like, well, I like superhero books. All right. Or I like, my kids like this kind of book, family friendly, all ages.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So you start taking stuff in and trying to add different things. And that's kind of what I went with. I had projects that was not published. And, but yeah, anyways, I told this guy about it, the writer now. His name is PJ, last name Horshack. Or I'm messing up. Sorry, PJ. If you watch this. So, and he got his eyes just got big. He's like, man, that sounds pretty good. Let me see the art. And so I showed him, and what I did was I added gray tones to the
Hmm.
artwork, like ink washes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
to the black and white artwork, and it kind of gives it that feel, that vintage vibe. And he
Yeah.
just went with it, and he's been great with the dialogue and the script. And I was just like, damn, man, this dude can write. Uh,
Nice.
and I'm happy with what I've been getting back. And I was just like, all right, this is let's roll. Let's put this thing out. Right now, he's working on. I did a cover for it. Is a tribute to Mike Mignola. I know I'm mispronouncing his stuff, his last name wrong, but I always call him Mignola. But because Hellboy was always a book that I just dug, and I love Mike's
Hmm.
artwork. So I did a tribute cover in the style of Mignola for Frank Gunn, and then I did a sketch of alternative cover. So I did like the classic World War II pinup girl
Yeah.
artwork. And no nudes and stuff like that. I mean, I could go that route, but it just doesn't. I'd have a hard time explaining to the wife,
Yeah.
she'd be like, or my daughters, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
dad's a perv. But no, I mean, uh, so I can't wait with the classic World War II pinup
Okay.
girl art. So right now he has that artwork, and he's building the vintage looking comic cover to it, because they
Nice.
had different stuff on those covers back then than what we got now.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's growing with it. And then we're also doing some fake ads that what they had back then, and just having a little bit of fun with it. So yeah, the project's coming along. I have some 2 bookmarks that's being colored right now, and we're going to have old vintage looking postcards. And then also for Kickstarter, one of the things I thought of was one of the characters in the story is talking to his buddies about the girl he has back home. There's always that one dude got the gal back home, right?
Hmm.
And shows the picture and all that. So for the Kickstarter campaign, what I want to do, and I talked to the writer, I said, man, write me up a letter like he's writing his girl back home. Sometimes they sent that shit
Yeah.
Western Union or whatever, right? And let's just make it exclusive to the Kickstarter campaign. A little
Nice.
side thing, adds a little
That's
depth
dope.
to it, and
Yeah.
to the character and all that. I was like, man, that's kind of cool, because it's always interesting. If you're in the Kickstarter game, I don't know how many books you got out yet, but it's like you got to come up with some original
You've got to
stuff,
be.
some
Yeah.
interesting stuff, right?
You've got to be
So,
real creative with your tier packages to try
right.
to get people to want to spend. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh, one
absolutely.
one of the things I did with the Devil's Contract was that nobody else was doing was, so I'm a traditional artist by nature. I mean, I'm starting to work a little bit digital, play around with it, but I got to learn it. So I'm not
Yeah.
at that point yet. So I'm still traditional. So one of the things I've been doing with the Devil's Contract was, and I picked this up from Jeff Darrow. Um, I would cut up pages of original art and cut out the panels and then sign it and all that. So if you bought the Devil's Contract, and the same thing with Mr. Love, I think I might have did for Mr. Love. You bought that book, supported back that campaign, at a certain tier, you would get a panel of original
Signed. Yeah.
art from the book, signed
Nice.
and all that. Because
Yeah.
it's like
That's
nobody's doing that,
no,
you know.
especially like cutting up the actual.
Yeah,
A lot of times they'll give you the whole page or try to
yeah,
sell the whole page. You're cutting up the page
yeah,
into
yeah,
different panels, so it's like, oh my God, that's a little
yeah,
scary. Cutting up your original artwork, but that's something that people are gonna like, oh man, I got a dope actual
yeah.
panel
You put
with
it in a little
that.
frame, or
Yeah,
what do you want to do, right?
yeah,
Now sometimes I'll sell covers, And then I also take pages to my show. One of the things about being a traditional artist is it's nice because I'll bring a couple portfolios out, lay it on my table, right? Because if you don't have that much product, say you only got 1 or 2 books out, there's only so many copies of that book you can put on your table, right? So you try to
Yeah.
add some stuff. I don't have a wall print. I don't get into drawing Marvel and DC characters because that just promotes them, right? It's
Yeah,
not
that's
promoting
taken
my
away
stuff, right?
from your IP. Yeah.
Right. Now, if somebody wants to pay me to draw Deadpool
That's
or
different.
whatever, I will. I mean, I got some Deadpool, uh, pinball machine,
hmm
Judge Dredd in the back. I mean, I'll draw it, but when it comes to the show, what I like to do is have the artwork just laid out, and a
hmm
lot of time just open up to some cover work or some of my best pieces, and then people walk by and they'll flip through and all
Yeah.
that, and then I sell original artwork there, and so it's just things like that,
Okay.
what's my strengths, and try to use that to promote my product. So, uh, but yeah, it's been real good. And then, like I said, I check out other shows like Catch the Craze on Tuesday
Yeah.
nights. That's a good show. Um, there's some good indie creators on Facebook that have shows on
hmm
shit throughout the week. It seems like
hmm
there's a big one on Sunday night. It's like normally like 5-6 people and stuff all
Yeah.
talking, and they got topics they talk about, and it's always interesting. So and they'll have ideas what they have at their table and all that. I know one guy had like a spinning wheel, like a what was that, like a roulette, not a roulette wheel, but the spinner, and
Yeah. I know
then
you're talking
whatever it
about.
lands on,
That's what
you get
you draw.
stickers or something like
Yeah.
that. So I'm thinking about doing that for the next
Okay.
campaign. I don't want to be too flashy, too like a damn circus act, but I
Yeah.
want to have something to get people's attention. I don't want to scare people, you
hmm
know.
It's
Um,
all about just getting people engaged and wanting to
yeah.
know exactly what you got going on. Because I looked at what you sent me for the Devil's Contract #1. The artwork looks great,
Oh,
and
thanks, man. Yeah.
I like the fact, I'm not used to really seeing a lot of comic books with no color. Everything's always usually
Yeah.
colored,
Yeah.
but it works without the color. Like I
Oh, thank you.
really
Thank you.
like I
I,
got it open right now, and I'm like, I like this. It's really dope.
I got to send you the other issues. I'll remember to do that. I'll send you the other issues this week.
hmm
That way you can check them out. Whenever you get around, you want to read something. So
Oh
and it's
yeah,
coming along
absolutely.
nicely, man. I'm happy with it. It's a lot of work. Issue 6 is shit. I think I'm 21 pages done. The only thing I need to do is letter it once the artwork's done,
hmm
and I was going to try to add like another 8 to 9 pages to it. It's issue 6 is vampires versus werewolves. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have the main protagonist in it, right? Uh, the main group of bounty hunters that the story focuses on. They're not
hmm
in issue 6. This is about because in the story there's twin brothers, and it just so happens that one of them turns into a vampire, the other one turns into a werewolf,
Okay.
and they all went to the same church, and this dude, the preacher, goes bad, like sells his soul basically. And this is a story I had around for like 20 years. The preacher basically has a private resort, kind of like Epstein Island and shit.
Uh-oh.
And so, and then he also deals in drugs and
Yeah.
human trafficking and he's doing military contracts. So he hired the mercenaries to retrieve uh, the werewolf, and then he finds out the brother is alive. Well, not really alive; he's a vampire, and then he sends him after the vampire, right? And his idea is like, you know what? I'm going to sell these two to the military. I mean, because he doesn't have
Yeah.
any morals and stuff anymore. What happens to him when he just flips,
hmm
right? And he was always a con man, anyways. He wasn't really like a man of God. He wasn't a preacher. He was a con artist, basically, just taking the church for their money and all
hmm
that. Anyways, bad dude. And so, as the story goes along, the the bounty hunters are called the holidays, and all they're named after all the holidays. You got Mr. Christmas, the Halloween Ghost, the Fourth,
Okay.
yeah, and all that.
That's
One
cool.
of yeah, Saint Pat. He he talks to an angel and everybody thinks he's crazy. We're like, man, who the hell is he talking to? And so like this angel kind of tells him what to do and all this
Hmm.
kind of guides him. And there's some other holidays in there. And so as the story starts to open up and unwrap, they realize that, hey, the dude that we're working for is a bad dude, and we're
Yeah.
putting us in a bad spot. And so there's going to be some fallout from all that.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, that one's coming along. We still want to do some more Mr. Love stuff, because the Cupid character is one where it's I don't see him out there a lot in
Yeah.
comics, right?
Hmm.
And it was something different from a lot of other offerings, and also it was a different direction for me. It's a little bit more lighthearted and all that. Where the Devil's Contract was action and horror. Mr. Love could be somewhat of a slice of life, some humor.
Hmm.
And at the end of the first issue, and this book is in color actually.
Okay.
The writer Mark Fisher had a friend that did color work,
Nice.
and so at at the end of the first issue, this character that I'll give it away. It's been out for about 8 months now. At the end of the first issue, Mr. Love, he's on trial, and he wins his trial right to remain Cupid. And this guy that he was talking to that's been sitting on a park bench from the beginning of the story, you know, he comes out and tells him he won his court case. And that guy that was on the park bench reveals himself that he's the Grim Reaper and he needs Cupid's help because there's some shit that's happening in this world that just seems crazy. Okay. Because I was kind of like, sometimes right now, man, if you just, I don't get political and I don't try to watch the news, but shit just seems crazy nowadays, right? And
Everything
so,
is just upside down. And
exactly, man. And so the the next stories is the Grim Reaper and Cupid on a road trip because the Grim Reaper's like, look, I can't get on a plane, for obvious reasons. That shit might crash. Um, and he'd walk away from it. But so they're in the car and they're traveling across America, and they encounter all kinds of crazy stuff along the way because there's like to the Grim Reaper, he's like, look, there's an ancient, chaotic god or spirit evil that's came back in the world and everything's getting turned upside down.
Mhm.
And so they witness the stuff along the way while they still try to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And because Mr. Love's still trying to make love connections and shoot
Yeah, yeah.
arrows and shit.
He still got to do his job on top of
Right.
everything else that's got. Yeah, that
On top
sounds
of saving
great.
the world. And
Hell yeah.
so, and I just figured it's a nice throwback to like the old buddy road
Yeah.
trip movies. And they're two
Hmm.
totally different kind of personalities. Mr. Love's more upbeat, positive, talks a lot, whatever. And the Grim Reaper is kind of quiet, kind of chill dude. And he doesn't give you too much, on what he actually is like. And so yeah, that's one. And I got some crazy characters thought of. Um, and so yeah, that's a story I want to continue. I'm going to put some more books out of that.
Oh
And
yeah.
then yeah, Frank Gunn, we're going to drop it. Like I said, the campaign will be this month. We still got. I want to do a comic trailer.
Okay.
Um, and sometimes I don't know how much if that's going to pull in new readers. It might if it's done right.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, whatever. Sometimes whatever works, you gotta
yeah,
until you try it, you don't know what's gonna work.
yeah,
Sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes you
get,
just
get,
gotta
yeah,
throw things to the wall and see what sticks when it
yeah.
comes
See that's
to
see what
marketing.
yeah. Throw that spaghetti to the wall,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's like one of the last things we got to do, and then it's all going to be ready. And
Hmm.
once we get the campaign going, and it's not going to be a big goal. I mean, I think $500 to $600 is what I was
Yeah.
thinking for this,
Yeah.
and we reach that goal, then we can send it right off to the printers. my philosophy on crowdfunding is have your book done. I can't stand it
Yeah.
when a an indie creator or publisher is like, yeah, back my campaign, please
So I
help me
can get
make
it
this.
done.
Yeah, and the
Mhm.
shit's not done. And you might not see that book for
For like a year.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
Uh-huh.
stupid, right?
Yeah. 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 That's
You,
why
you,
I've never done. I've put out I've put out several books. I have
okay.
yet to do a Kickstarter. Yet to
Oh
I
wow.
always went just direct to consumer, like
Yeah.
I already had a platform that I could already reach direct to consumer. That's why I never really did the kick. I was always afraid, especially
Okay.
being a creator. I was like, what if I put a Kickstarter
Yeah.
and I don't make any, and no one gets it? I'm gonna feel like shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't reach my goal, but I just put everything up on my own. I got everything done, and I just went straight to consumer and make all the money myself because
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I know Kickstarter gets a cut, of course,
Yeah.
as they should, but I always went just straight to market, I always built good rapport with a lot of indie retailers, Steve McDonald, Sean Hudutchko, like Comics Elite and uh Clan McDonald Comics. They've been a huge support to help me reach that base so I could
Okay.
go directly to market and just skip all the headache and just say here, like
Yeah.
I went a route where I just did a lot of exclusive variants with certain retailers,
Oh,
and
nice.
to me that worked more than Kickstarters. Like I've made tons of money doing going that route, and I think my next project I'm gonna try my first Kickstarter,
Okay.
but like you said, it's better to go in already having it done. So
Yeah.
once it's over and you reach your goal and all you got to do is just settle up and get everything sent out. They don't got to wait a year for you to, all right, now I got the money, let me hire people, and then who knows, I'm pretty sure like, you've had some wild experiences getting
Yeah.
your comics nothing goes according to plan.
Nah, I don't.
Like
Something always happens.
yeah, something always happens. It never fails, and I mean I've lost a ton of money. Just,
Yeah.
sometimes
It's
you
expensive.
yeah, yeah.
Even outside of Kickstarter and backers and stuff, you
Yeah.
still put in a lot of your own personal resources, time,
Yeah.
and money.
Yeah.
You want to book shows. Shows ain't cheap. You
No.
know.
Yeah,
Uh,
these comic conventions even for a small show, you're paying like $200 for a table,
yeah.
And if you want any of the bigger cons, like, forget New York City, like
Yeah,
forget
that's
about
what I
it. You're
heard.
paying from last I checked into it, just that Artist Alley, which is like downstairs in the basement. It's like starting off at 700 if you get approved. You
Dang.
want main floor, you're putting your thousands main floor.
Yeah,
And it also depends where on the main floor. So it's a
that's what I heard.
it's a huge investment, and the only thing you could hope for is to make sure you at the very least break even, because that you got to pay for the table if you're there for the weekend. Hotels, that
Yeah.
little two hundred
It,
dollar table turns into like $1,000 weekend.
right. Pay for
So
parking, especially in a
yeah.
big city, right? And all that.
Oh man.
So that's a lot of pressure to sell. Push,
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah.
I mostly do shows that's local. I can drive to it. We have some shows around here. Probably not as much as what y'all got on the East Coast, but
Hmm.
now I think in Connecticut there is an indie comic
Terrificon.
show.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
lot. I've been out here for a year. I mean, I've had
Okay.
family out here for upwards of 10 years. You got a lot of little shows,
Yeah.
smaller, compared to like, the majors, there's a
Hmm.
bunch of them. But I know Terrificon is up here in the summer, and
Okay.
that's pretty big. That's a pretty big convention. It's a very big, popular one, and I'm thinking of trying to get into that one this year because
Yeah.
I took some time off, and now I've got my one of my next issues actually being colored right now. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Uh,
like you said, I like to get things done before I decide to
right.
do any kind
It,
of anything, you know?
yeah. I mean, so many people out there want to take that victory lap. They haven't even started the race yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, and it's hard because I've been to conventions where I made like I just broke even. You know what I'm saying? But then
yeah,
again, I try to experiment with certain things. Like I remember for New York City Comic Con one time, uh, of course I didn't have a booth because I was not
you're right.
paying.
Yeah,
Hell no. Hell, but I live in New York at the time, so I was
yeah,
already going out there. So what I did was I had just launched one of my comics, and a good buddy of mine, Kyle Willis, he's a great artist. He did this amazing variant for me. And I was like, you know what? This is gonna be my New York City Comic Con exclusive, even though I don't have a table, but I will be there. So what I
yeah.
did was I had him on me. And whoever was interested,
Oh shit!
find
Like a
me.
backpack.
Yeah, had him in my backpack. Find me. If I have any, we'll take.
Oh
I
damn!
sold out. I sold out. I had 40 copies on me and I sold out completely without a table. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So it's just, it's also how you market too. Like I'm that kind of character where, I'm easily it's easy for me to just be that guy and be all over the place and be cool and,
Yeah.
just I don't know.
I
That's just me.
I was watching last night. There's this dude, man, on YouTube. He goes over the value of comics and issues, in particular, what certain issues are worth. And then he was talking about some of the most expensive comics that came out in the '80s, and one of them was Eastman and Laird did a New York Comic Con uh, issue for the Turtles, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Look, if you got that one, it's worth some cash,
Yeah.
and it's in the thousands, right?" And then he said they did a like an ash can or something. They had printed up
Hmm.
black and white cover and all that of like some other stuff. If I forgot, they did two ash cans, and in the back of one of the ash cans has the turtles. That's the first imprint. Dude, these fucking books were like
Yeah.
$75,000 because they only
Yeah.
made like 50 of them or 500
Yeah.
of them. I don't even think
Hmm.
500. I think it was like 50 of
Yeah.
each. And they's like, "You
Yeah.
got that? Shit,
Oh
you
yeah.
got paid.
Mhm.
You
Oh
getting
yeah.
paid."
And I think that's why, like, one thing I've noticed, you know, in the game is variance. A
Yeah,
lot of the more limited variants, like, especially if people love the artwork, it's gonna sell. Like the
yeah,
same, and it doesn't really. The only extra, I mean, in my opinion, the only extra added expense is having to pay for the cover because the book's already done. So you're
yeah.
essentially flipping your $5 or $10, you know, normal book for 30, 40, $50. And sometimes they work. And
All right, yeah,
yeah, so you're essentially taking that what you've made and giving many different price points for the same comic, just different cover, you know?
yeah. What's cool is so doing black and white artwork. This is actually this is the cover for the trade, which is the first three issues.
Yeah.
And when you read the first issue, that's actually the last page of the first issue. I just had it
Nice.
colored, and I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Let me just drop the title on it and all that. That's my cover
It's
right
cover.
there.
Yeah.
Bam.
That's
And
cover
so
right there.
I did that a couple times. I did and or I do like mini posters. I'd take a
Yeah.
page, I do a splash page in the book.
Yeah.
I have
Hmm.
it colored. That's
Yeah.
bam. That's a mini poster. That's an alternative cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always good to have extra stuff. I do see, and you probably seen it too. Is sometimes some of these dudes on Kickstarter and stuff, they got campaigns. They got like 30 variant covers, and there's a
Yeah.
couple of them in particular. I won't mention their names, but they got like AI covers, like 30 different AI covers. You're like, come on now, and
Yeah.
it's
That to
always the
me is
same shit. No
mhm.
imagination, just some
Yeah.
bullshit. AI
Hmm.
covers. I'm just like,
Yeah,
come on.
it takes away from it because
Yeah,
I get AI is here. It's
yeah,
not
it
going
is.
nowhere.
That's right.
It's gonna be more. It's gonna be more. It's gonna we're gonna start seeing a lot more of it in the next few years than than we have. And
Yeah,
we no matter how many times we people complain and whatever, it's not going nowhere. We just gotta
no,
adapt to it. How as creators, whether you're an artist or a writer, or how do we navigate those waters to make sure like our content, the one we're spending time on writing and drawing, all these hours we put into it is gonna make more than those that are just doing everything AI. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Like, um, I when as far when it comes to I don't mind if you use it as a tool.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, help you, you know, streamline your ideas and your thoughts, and especially on a business sense. Because when you're a creator and you want to put any project together, the minute you start to invest your money to try to put this out for people to buy it, you
Hmm.
just started a business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's a business,
yeah,
and that's an extra hat you got to wear. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's a lot to create something, and now I got to market. Now I got to do this, and now I got to
oh
do
yeah,
that. And sometimes like we just don't. There's just too many questions for a Google search, and I feel like on that kind of aspect, like something like ChatGPT could kind of like give you a pathway, or and come
yeah,
up with some sort of, all right, this is what you should, just give you some sort of a framework to kind of help you build your foundation on top of, because that's a lot of work. You're talking,
right.
I mentioned on another interview where we're by ourselves. We're putting this together, either just one person or five people. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar machine
Yeah,
behind
we
us
don't
that
have a group of people either.
all we gotta do
No staff.
is write or draw. They got the marketers, they got the this, and they got the that. They could put the millions. This is all coming out of our hard-earned money. And right
Right.
now, it's especially in this time, it's everything's expensive. So
Yeah, yeah,
we're putting what we have left at after what we spend on life, rent,
right.
mortgage, food, and insurance, and everything else. Whatever we have left
A
is
lot
what
of
we're.
businesses closing up. Economy's a little bit rough right now. I
Everything's
know some of these
rough.
Kickstarter campaigns ain't doing like they was a year
Yeah,
or two ago.
yeah. I COVID kind of put me in a pause because
Yeah.
before COVID, from 2017 to right before COVID struck, like I was I was doing very well with my comics, then
Oh,
everything shut down, and mental health and all that crazy stuff. And so I put my focus into my education so I could. I knew business, but I needed to know more. So,
yeah.
I went to school, got my degree and all that, got my
Nice.
master's in business. So now, because this is what I want to do, this is my passion, like this is it. I've already put in the time. I want to be able to take my creations and make my empire. Whether,
Hmm.
I would love to be rich and famous. I think that's what we all would love
Yeah.
out, as the end result. But, you know, even if we could just break
Hmm.
even that's
Yeah.
good. Because at the end of the day, no one knows us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're not these major writers or whatever. We're just regular folk that want to share our babies,
I,
our things. Like, we want to let me bring you into my world. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And some people love it.
Yeah.
It
And I was getting ready to touch on that. I think a lot of comic book readers are starting to be like, man, the big two putting out the same old
Yeah, it's just
bullshit.
recycled
Yeah.
stuff.
No
Like,
imagination, ain't hitting you with nothing different.
because it's all about money.
Right.
It's all about money now.
Ain't
Like,
no passion in it.
and I feel like that's across the board on entertainment.
Yeah.
Mainstream
Yeah.
entertainment, I feel like, Like I said, of course, a company is gonna invest millions on a project. They want the return back. Of course, that's
Yeah,
business 101. But put the, uh, you know, put the heart and soul into what you're doing. Because
right.
if you're just putting up projects for the sake of putting up projects to
For
make a
shareholders and all that.
return,
Yeah, investors.
that's when you start getting garbage. And
Mhm.
I feel like in the indie space, you're making independent films, independent novels, comic books,
Music.
music, I feel like that's the last frontier of creativity. And I feel
Yeah.
like the independent community puts out the best work, but we're not getting that attention because I mean, we do get the attention, but we're not all getting that same attention. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because of you got the major players that just keep giving us the same garbage all over again. I mean, not everything is garbage. They
Not
do
not
give us
not
some
everything.
great stuff, but not most of it's just repetitive. It's just
Yeah.
repetitive. They're constantly rebooting things and giving
Yeah.
us the
I hate that.
giving us like 30 versions of the same story you've given us for the
Hmm.
past 60, 70 years. Like how many times can you give us the origin of Superman or Batman or whatever? Like give us something new. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of these big major entertainment companies should start focusing more on the indie scene because that's where a lot of the gems are.
Hmm.
A lot of the gems are just sitting, waiting to be called up,
Yeah.
and I mean that's just my personal opinion. That's why
Yeah.
my music that I listen to, I anything. I rather just give my time into the independent community because they're the ones that are there putting in their heart and their soul, taking a year to make a comic book, 3 years, whatever. But they're making sure that what they're putting out is
Yeah.
the best that they can put out with what they can do, and sometimes that's all we need.
Oh yeah. I see some
We don't
great
need the
independent books.
pizzazz. Yeah, like touching back on the variants, I love to make variants, but when you start putting 20 variants out on the same comic book, it's like, okay,
You
you
dilute
know, what I'm
it.
s- yeah, you like I love sure the artwork is great, but damn, you need 20 variants of the same comic book,
Right.
like that's just too much at that
Right.
point. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to put a couple of variants out, get your, a little more to your Kickstarter campaigns or whatever. Cool, great. Showcase different artists. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
when but there's a point where you kind of just gotta chill. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
And you
saying?
also
Like,
gotta know how much money you want to put in the variants too, right? Because
yeah.
I mean, I don't as an artist, and I do all my own covers. I don't know what it would cost for me to hire an artist to do a cover for me, but I
Mm.
have to guess it's like, you know, $300 to $500 on up, right?
I mean, it depends. If you're going and you're going over and hiring like overseas artists from like Philippines or anything like that,
Yeah.
you're looking at least a $200 range. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? They're gonna give you some great artwork, but as far as variants, what I realized what sell the most are when you're selling variants from known artists, especially
Yeah.
if they're on an indie scene, but they've done a couple of things for Marvel or DC, one or two cover, or they've done a ton of variants for some of the bigger publishers in the indie scene. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
like, oh, you know what? Oh, this guy did that cover. I'm gonna pay them. I know I'm gonna make my return, but I'm also putting up $1,000 for a
Ooh.
variant. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like once you start going in that direction, you're paying a pretty penny. You're
Yeah.
paying. You're gonna. That's when you start going over 800, 1,000, sometimes maybe even 2 grand.
And I
You
think
know.
once you get in that game, it's hard to go back, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, because now if you kind of step back from the variants, people are like, oh well, you
Yeah.
know,
They won't
like
pick up the
well,
next issue.
yeah, like because you kind of got them used to all the different styles of just one
Yeah. I
comic you're putting out.
So I one of the main reasons why I don't have other artists do my covers is I want them to see if they buy that book, if they like the cover, that's the artwork they're getting it when they
Yeah.
open it up, right?
Hmm.
I don't try to bait and switch anyone. You know, I would love to have a great artist, and there's lots of them out there do covers for me. But you know, people might open up the book expecting that same art, and it's
And
something
it's totally
different,
different. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, there's so much to take in.
Hmm.
Um, you know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't sell that many copies of my stuff, so there's financially it doesn't even really pay me to do variant covers. Like
Yeah.
I think one issue three I did three different covers, and one of them was a foil cover, which
Yeah.
ended up being like five something a copy because of the foil cover,
Yeah.
and
You know.
but I didn't even it didn't sell me more books. I was trying to
Hmm.
sell them for like $15 and people wasn't buying it at 15. Now I try to sell it for 10. People
Yeah.
wasn't buying it for 10. I'm just like,
Hmm.
well, you know,
Yeah.
could be one of the factors that, you know, no
Yeah.
one knows who I am, right?
Yeah,
So I don't,
especially being independent, a very, especially starting out, you want to, the purpose of making these variants is to get more for the same. And
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to get people who don't know you to spend 30 or $40
yeah,
on a variant of your main issue that you're selling between 5 and 10. Some people find even $10 to be a little too much
yeah,
if they don't know you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, so it's kind of tricky. So, I mean, I have used, a couple of well-known artists for variants, but
Okay.
when I put out variants, I try to use I continue to just use you know, independent artists that are that are on the same level as me trying to come
Yeah.
up. Like I don't mind spending like 100 or 2 on a cover because I'm really just showcasing your art. And
Hmm.
I could probably get an extra $5-10 out of it, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I like to I'm all about showcasing other people too. Like,
Yeah.
like this guy is unknown, but his art is just as amazing as such and such who you're spending 60, $75 on every time they drop a cover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like just trying to bring these unknowns to more eyes.
Yeah.
Try to use the platform as much as we can. I'm all about bringing everybody up. We're
Yeah.
all on the same boat, whether you've got
Right.
no comics or no projects out, or you've got 5 or 6. None of us are Marvel or DC. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
at that level yet. So I just try to work with everybody, and let's just put out a great body of work and see where it goes from there. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And to me, that's
No,
that's what being independent is all about. Just
right.
coming together with your fellow creatives and seeing what we can put together.
Right. Yeah. And I think when you're independent, also like it's like you're a rebel.
Yeah, you could
You're
do
like
whatever
punk
you want.
rock or something.
Yeah,
You're
you could do
underground hip hop.
whatever you want. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
where it's like you're doing it,
Yeah.
uh, and out of love for the game, out of love
Yeah.
for the medium. And so that's how I see it. Independent creators, man, are and like we talked about, man, that's I think that's where a lot of the future is at. A lot of
Yeah.
independent creators,
Uh-huh.
because you never know. I mean, Marvel might go bankrupt like they almost did back in '99, 2000,
Yeah.
whatever. You know,
Exactly.
they might go away, or DC might go away, or something like that. And then
Yep.
it might be just small groups of people being their own publisher, putting their stuff out at these shows. The
Yeah. Yeah.
landscape might change at comic book conventions.
Exactly. Like how many
So,
times DC is being sold? You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like, eventually if the big two collapse,
Yeah.
they who's there to kind of hold them up and give them
Yeah.
some sort of of anything is the independent market, because we're still gonna do what we're gonna do. But then
Right.
again, we could do whatever we want to do. We don't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
answer to. We don't have to worry about politics, or we can't write a certain
Yeah.
story. We do
Yeah.
whatever the hell it is we want to do.
In
And
the fourth issue, I think it was the fourth issue, yeah, of the Devil's Contract, I did an issue where Saint Pat, the character that talks to the angel, goes back, and the main bad guy had some human trafficking,
yeah.
and two of the guys that was doing the human trafficking, one was P Diddy and the other was Jared from Subway, and he rolled up and just took him out. It. I'll send you a copy of that issue.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. But like I said, hey, I mean, I don't want to. I didn't really use their names, but you can
Yeah.
look and kind of tell,
Yeah,
get some idea.
exactly. And a major publisher is not gonna, they're not gonna want to touch that with a 10
Right?
foot pole, because what they're afraid of, they don't want to get sued,
Yeah.
or people gonna they're gonna feel some type of way. But this is entertainment.
Right.
This is freedom of expression. Like, this is art. Whatever whatever we're making, this is art. Take it for what
Hmm.
it is. Sometimes there is no political anything behind it. It's just us making something. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the world we live in. This is the news that's all around, and we're just working with
What's there?
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, there's no politics involved. It's just, this is what life is, and we're just, putting it together. Like,
Yeah.
but a lot of big companies, whether movies, especially movies, like, you got to watch what you say now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna fire you from this 20 movie deal because you said what was on your mind. Like,
Right.
that's why I love the independent scene. We have a platform to say what we want to say, whether you like it or you don't have to like it. You don't have to anything. You could either embrace what we say and continue following our projects, and or don't. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's
No.
it's whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we can't please everybody. No one is 100% of the people, I don't care what it is, going to be on board with anything. Nope.
Not even
Especially,
Jesus please
no.
everybody, right?
No one is 100% happy,
Right.
because especially in the entertainment and the fandom community, we love hard and we hate harder. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Like, absolutely, and you've got to, especially being a creator, you kind of got to take take that you got to have thick skin,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. You got it.
you could feel like you've got the greatest artwork, the greatest story. Someone's gonna come along and
Tear it
say
down.
some nasty shit about it,
Yeah.
because that's just how people are. And to me,
Especially
it's,
those that can't do it. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. But, like, you're
Or
talking
maybe
all
they
this.
tried and failed, and they're like, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm just going to tear this next dude down. I can't
yeah,
stand those people. Like, I try to be
yeah.
positive to everyone. I might see somebody's
Exactly.
book. I might not like it,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to be like, man, your stuff
Yeah,
sucks. I
yeah.
ain't buying that
It
shit.
might not be my thing, but I'll
Yeah.
still share it anyway, because
Yeah.
maybe somebody that follows me may be their thing. That's why
Right.
I don't hate. I'm always, when I'm on Facebook, or it's any form of social media, and I see somebody and I see a project come across my feed, I'm gonna share
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna share it,
Oh,
because
nice.
whether I like it or not, it's all about just coming together and just sharing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't take a lot to just hit that share button. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
just a click. That's it. It just takes a click, a
Yeah.
fraction of a second. And it doesn't always have to be your thing, your cup of tea. But
Right.
just, love is free. You
Now, do
know?
you have a website for yourself? I got Facebook,
Yeah, I mean,
Mind
I
Right
got my
Comics, but
socials, but my company website is villainarchives.com.
okay.
I got my books on there. But I've also, I've done music. I'm working on a trading card game. Like, I just love creating,
Yeah.
I love pop culture is everything. I love it. Just being able to create something from nothing, just from an idea. And then, even if 10 people are like, That's awesome. I love it. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot to me. That's a 10 strangers who I don't know from a hole in a wall. Like, I
yeah.
love your work.
I got
That's
so
great.
what
That's a great feeling.
I got several, man. I don't know how many people I put in my book so far. I got like loyal people
Hmm.
waiting on the next issue, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, when you see the next issue, page 8, you're gonna see somebody you recognize. I just like to draw. I'll draw people in the backgrounds and stuff. I got friends and people that's been buying the book since the first issue, and I'm like, well, you know what? They show love to me. I want to show it back and put them in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something like that.
Absolutely. Like,
But
love
I
is
just I
free,
dig
man.
it, man. So
Yeah. It's all about, especially in this community, in the
yeah,
independent community, like we should be building each other up. You know,
yeah, I agree. I
there's,
agree.
you know, there's a lot of competition, but that doesn't mean there's not enough room for everybody. You know,
Right.
like there's too many people on this planet. Everybody likes different things. You know, not
Mm-hmm.
everyone is gonna like everything. So, there's always something for someone. So we should always that's why I'm always bigging people up, showing love. That's the whole purpose of even what I'm doing with this podcast. Is,
Yeah.
yo, let's have a 1 hour conversation of, why you let's talk about your project. Why are you doing what you're doing? Do you have any advice? Like,
Mm.
I want this to I've said it on every episode so far. The main purpose of this whole platform is to, you know, give a place to creators, to give that advice to that up and coming creator who doesn't know anything, who's kind of blind into navigating this field because this is it's a lot of sharks. This is it's a lot of this is a very tough field.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of competition. You got a lot of people that are scamming.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. I'm pretty sure you yourself have been through some horrible situations. Put in,
Yeah, there's
put in.
been there's been a couple of times where
Yeah,
you get like what they call the Hollywood talk, um,
yeah,
and so like there's some publishers back in the '90s. This is how old I am, but there's some publishers back in the '90s that was supposed to print our book. Me and a buddy, they had us as a guest at Chicago Con, and we did a promo book that sold a bunch of copies back in '94, I think it was, and they were supposed to launch our books and never did, like I said, and
mhm,
we never saw a dime in
yeah,
any of that stuff. And
yeah,
but
hmm,
sometimes you get a publisher, or like when I did the Devil's Contract, someone on Facebook saw it in like one of the indie comic groups and said, "Man," he reached out to me and said, "Look, I got a publishing company down in Florida, and man, I'd really love to have your book as one of our titles." And so I said, well, send me a contract. We'll talk about some things. I said, but I'm getting ready to send this to the printer because I got a show coming up in town, and this is my first book, right? This is
yeah,
and he's like, oh no, you can't do that.
yeah. They
You
want
know,
to tie your
like, what do
hands
you mean
up. Yeah,
I can't print my book? He's like,
exactly.
well, you know what? It has to come out under our our uh, our company
Under
name
their
and all that.
publishing. Yeah,
And I was like,
hmm,
then we ain't got no deal then because I said, I ain't trying to
exactly.
cut you out. I said, but I'm already
Yeah,
working
you've
on
already
this.
got your ball rolling. You've
Right.
already invested the
Yeah.
time and the money and everything. Hell yeah.
And he was paying too much for his printer anyways.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think they closed their doors because they had like 6 or 7 other books they started putting out. And I don't know if any of those other books had a second issue. Maybe one of them did. And so that right there is a red flag. And
Yeah.
then I think he closed up last summer. So he
Mm,
was only around for like 2.5 years or something like that.
exactly.
So
Sometimes
but he talked a good
it's not
game.
worth it.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
do this, I can do that. And but he wanted me to basically do all the marketing for my book. He's like, I need you to go around and drum up some
Yeah.
orders for your stuff. And it's I'm thinking, what
They,
I do all
what are
the
they
work.
doing? What are you
Yeah.
guys
What are
doing?
you doing?
Yeah. That's it.
But
They want us to do everything,
yeah,
but they want to reap the benefit. They want to make more than what we're making,
yeah.
and we're doing everything. Like that doesn't
He
the
was like,
math
well,
doesn't math
he's like,
on
I'm in
that.
Diamond right now. I was like, So
So anyone
that turned out to be a
can
good thing,
get
right?
in there.
So if I had advice, think about your question. What advice would I have for new creators? Print it yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't need to use a publisher, if you have a skill, if you're a writer, find your artist, right? And do one issue, one solid issue, right? And just test the market, see if people like it. But and don't I made the mistake of doing, like a 8 issue story arc when I
Yeah.
should did one solid issue. But
But that's how we learn.
right, that's
We
how we
learn
learn.
from our mistakes. We realize what didn't work, and we know how to, we come back and we readjust and move forward. Like there's a huge learning curve
Yeah,
to becoming going from a creator to actually creating in this entertainment space. Like it's not simple.
yeah,
It is a huge learning curve. There
yeah,
really is. Because like I said, you're not once you enter this space, you're no longer just an artist, you're no longer a writer, you're a business person.
right.
You
Yeah,
just created a business. So now you've got to play multiple roles. You got to
hmm,
be the artist, the writer, the whatever, the publisher, the marketer, the you know everything. You have now you just made more for yourself.
yeah.
Like you just giving yourself more responsibility, and
Yeah.
it's a lot, especially if you're just one person or
I
even just five people.
Yeah, I think another piece of advice. Yeah, I mean, if you could partner up with other creatives,
Yeah.
especially if they're local, and work things out. It's tough to work in a group
Hmm.
because everybody has their own agenda,
Yeah.
own ideas and stuff that they want to be heard. So there's a lot of compromise. But if you're starting out and you're doing your first issue, start the small shows. Don't
Hmm.
try to go to New York Comic Con, right? If you only got one book out, don't try to, or go to Chicago or Cleveland and Cincinnati and pay $600 or something like that for a table. You know, if it's your first book, do
Start
the
small.
church, you show library,
Yeah.
anywhere, small art
Hmm.
festival in town,
Something. Little
stuff like
street
that.
fair. Something.
Yeah, street fair, all that. Then
Yeah.
do those shows,
Hmm.
get that first print run sold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you can go back and be like, look, man, I sold through 200 copies. I need to go print another couple hundred more. And then also start thinking about what your next book's going to be. It might be a follow
Exactly.
up, or it might be something totally
Something
different.
different. Hmm.
Right. Right.
Yep.
You
But now
don't
you
you don't
got the
want to print
experience,
a couple thousand copies of your first book and find
and you're
out,
stuck with all that.
right. You're trying to
You're
give this shit
stuck with
away.
all that. Yep.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, it's a very difficult, you know, thing to navigate, but it could be very rewarding. You
yeah,
know, it could
definitely.
be very rewarding,
I
especially as being so independent, starting from nothing and creating all that, creating your fan base and your followers, and like I said, having strangers who don't know you just committed to what you're putting out.
Yeah,
That's rewarding.
it
Sometimes
is.
that's more rewarding than selling a book or two,
I think
Like
so
that's
too.
absolutely just that love that
I
people are like, man, I love your work. I
I mean
love your work.
I mean here's the question I'll throw at you. How did it feel when you opened up that box that just came from the printer of your first book that you had
Oh,
done
I
and you pulled out?
I had to hold back tears
Yeah,
because
you just
my
stare at it.
first comic took about 5 years to put out.
Whew.
It took 5 years. I got ripped off by my first artist. I got
Uh,
discouraged. Then I was like, no way, I can't. I gotta keep going. You know, I had to find the right artist. Finally found the right artist, and started putting everything together. Wound up making changes. But when it was all said and done, and that shipment came in, I had a few friends over to celebrate. Like
oh, nice.
I'm gonna open this box, and I just, looking, just looking at it. Hey, I just had to hold back tears, and
Yeah,
not, it's there's a lot of unknown to it. Like, is this gonna make money? Is this gonna blow up? But the fact that I did this, you
Yeah.
know,
You got that.
alone. Like I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. But we're here and now I made it happen. Now it's real.
Yeah.
It's no longer a dream. What's next? You know?
Right.
And like I said, I'm also working on the trading card game and I just got my my first batch of cards that I'm gonna be beta testing with. And I had that experience all over again, like two
Nice.
days ago. Opened the box, looked at the cards, and I was like, damn, this took 3 years.
I gotta
You
see it.
know?
Gotta see it.
And I was just like, it brought me back to that day when I opened up and saw
Yeah.
my first comic book. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is, even if I don't do nothing with this, I made this.
Yeah.
I put in the work, I put in the time, I lost sleep, I lost brain function,
Yeah.
everything. Just to
That sacrifice
just to
is
have it.
rewarded.
Yeah, just to have it in my hand. Now is the what happens next. And to me that's the fun part because now
Mhm.
you don't know you're writing your own story now. You don't know what's gonna happen. It all
Yeah.
depends on what you plan to do with it. And to me, that's the best part because now I have it. Now it's real. It's materialized. Let's go.
Yeah.
Now let's make this happen. It's here. It's no longer a thought or a dream or I can't wait. We're here. Today's the day. Now what? You
I,
know?
I believe true indie comic creator spirit is wanting to make the next book better.
Oh yeah.
Always,
Absolutely. Always.
always. I look
Always.
at my first issue. I love it, but I'll pick it apart. I'm like, you know what?
Hmm.
The next issue, I'm going to fix some things, make it better.
Yeah.
Need a little bit
Yeah.
more creative.
Hmm.
Maybe it was too dark. Maybe
Yeah.
I remember, and I didn't get much feedback. I appreciate when I get feedback, even stuff that's hard truth. You know what I'm saying? I had one
Hmm.
guy reading the first issue. He's like, oh, "Man, that was a pretty fast read." So, um, and they said, some of the dialogue was slipping here and there. I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna focus on that. I
Yeah.
gotta hit on my weaknesses, right? I made
Yeah.
the second issue 48 pages, more dialogue.
Yeah. It's
I
all
had to
about
refine it.
learning.
I had to look it over, rewrite a bunch of stuff, and
Yeah.
see what worked, what didn't, and just
Hmm.
keep on going. You got to
Yeah.
make that next issue better
Yeah.
than the first one, and then
You
the previous
always
one.
building every
Yeah.
issue, every project. It's always an improvement on the last, whether it's a follow-up issue, a new story, or just something, a new venture in total. It's always what can I do better now than I did on the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
even in the majors, the big players, they still make a ton of mistakes. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying? Some of them still don't know what works, and they've been at it for like 30, 40 years. They still don't get it right. But
That's
we as being such, you know, being on a small scale,
mm-hmm.
we have to make sure that every follow up is always better than the last. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, because that
nothing is ever gonna be perfect, but it's gotta be just right.
yeah,
There's
because
a
that
complete
next
difference.
book
Yeah,
might take 6 months to a year to
yeah,
get done,
yeah,
right? So
exactly. And what works for book A, for series A might not work for series B.
right.
Like you gotta kind of adjust the ingredients in the sauce.
Yeah.
Exactly, like as long as you got your foundation and your formula, you kind of know how to navigate and how to, make the changes that accommodate what you got going on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's in my opinion, because like I said, I've got three different titles out, and I'm working on another huge title, and each one is a different, I got a
Different
thriller,
genre.
comedy, yes, and each genre you kind of got to navigate slightly different, and
Right.
as long as you got your foundation, that's what's
Yeah.
to me, that's what people will recognize the most.
They kind of
Your
like kids.
foundation.
I got three kids and they all different, right? They got different
Yeah,
personalities. So I parent different.
Yeah, exactly. You
right?
can never, like, my kids always, you can never tell your kids you love them the same, because then it's impossible. They're not the
Yeah.
same. You
No.
could love them equally different, but
Yeah.
you're different than the other one. I can't, if I love y'all the same, it may not work well, like
Yeah.
you gotta tailor to each different personality. And that's how it is with the genres of anything we do. When we start going from genre A to genre B, we keep the foundation, but we gotta make the slight changes that we gotta make, you know?
Yeah. But it's good to have that variety on your table, man.
Oh yeah,
Like
exactly. It
like we
shows,
talk about.
yeah, it shows like how well rounded you are, like you can make a thriller, you can make a horror, like you kill it in everything you do,
Yeah.
especially if you start partnering up with other people, you know what I'm saying?
So
Yeah.
one thing I try to be observant about, if there's a trend out there, I try to go in a different direction, because by
Yeah.
the time I put out a book based on that trend,
Trend's over.
that trend's already done. Like
Yeah,
I'm too
trends
late.
don't last long
No,
anymore.
they
Like
don't.
you
But
gotta
just do
you've
your
gotta
thing.
be ready if you want to jump on a trend, you've got to be ready to go now.
Yeah. Be
Now.
original. Be
Yeah, and that's
original.
why I don't follow trends. Like, you
No.
know, yeah, I follow the trend of variants, but I do it my way as
Right.
far as any kind of trends. I'm not looking to flip the same book for 5 times the amount because of who I hired. You know, I want to make sure I showcase beautiful artwork from
Yeah.
people you would have never heard from before, because
Yeah.
there's so much talent that is undiscovered yet,
I, and I think what's cool about that is, with what you're doing is, you go to a show and somebody's selling prints, but they're paying 10, $20 for a print. Instead of that, be like, look, buy my book, because I'm showcasing different artists in it, and, than less than what you would pay for a print, right?
yeah,
Instead of spending $50 on some prints,
yeah,
you're looking at one thing. When you buy a book, I don't know, what's your books, 24, 32 pages, something like that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like, look, you're getting this much art for less money. You're
Hmm.
getting more bang for your buck. So
Yeah,
having different
yeah.
artists sounds like,
Hmm.
that's one way people should look at it.
Yeah, and I've
So
given so much free stuff away at conventions, because sometimes it's not about the money. Of course,
right.
you want to make the money, but sometimes giving away a couple of things here and there is so right,
Yeah.
because that one person, now that you gave them a free comic that they weren't
Yeah.
planning on spending, then now they're gonna go home and read it, and they're probably like, "Yo, this is great. I'm gonna buy issue 2 and 3 and
Yeah.
4." Now
We do
you gave them
stickers
that
and all
free
that.
comic book, and now you've made a fan.
Yeah.
Like I did a convention out in New Mexico. This was right when COVID was starting. Like we were starting to go out more and things were starting to
Okay.
loosen up. Um, it's the first convention I did in years, and it felt a little weird to be kind of back out there. And the that Saturday, right as we were closing up and getting ready to shut down, there was a tattoo artist who had a booth at a convention. Never seen a tattoo artist at a Comic Con, but it was cool. He
I
was a,
want
he
that.
was a pretty good artist. He
Yeah.
did some great tattoos. So like it looked like he came up to me, and it's like he was in a rush to catch me before I left. And we were talking, and he's like, "Yo, you're Malice, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, my brother heard that you were gonna be here, knew I was gonna be here, and he's a huge fan. His birthday's coming up, and I wanted to get him some issues." And we just started talking,
Oh,
and
nice.
then he was like, I personally am not familiar with your stuff, so what would you recommend? I gave him like 4 or 5 books. I said, "Here, like, tell your brother I said happy birthday." Like, you know what I'm
Nice.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's on me. He's like, "No, no, no way, man. No, I gotta pay you." I'm like, "Bro, just tell him I said, thanks for being a fan. Here's some exclusive variants. Like, here you go."
Yeah.
Gave him
That's real
about a
cool.
good like $60 worth of stuff that I was selling. So just off that, he was so grateful. he picked up some books himself and gave me a free tattoo at the convention.
Oh yeah, nice.
But just little things like that. It's not always about the money. Sometimes just
The experience of
yeah,
all
and
this.
just because now I gained more followers. Now these people want to read my next issues, and they're invested in me because I gave them something for free that I was selling.
Yeah,
And just like, here you go, take it.
because we're fans too, right? We
Yeah,
came up with
exactly.
fans. You
Exactly,
know.
because we're the same way. We attend
Oh,
conventions as fans, and we're meeting. We're standing online for hours for some of our favorite creators, or
yeah,
going through Artist Alley and just meeting
yeah,
these new people we've never heard and seen all this great work. And it's all, like I said, it's all about a community of we're all in the same boat.
yeah.
We're all
I mean, I
some of us just got more experience than others, but we're all on the same boat,
yeah.
just doing what we love, doing what this is a passion,
I'm
and I will always continue to create to the day I die.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna always create something.
I went to several shows in Columbus, Ohio as a fan back in the early 90s. And Brian Michael Bendis was just getting started. He's printing
Yeah,
up his stuff through Caliber. And we would hang out. And I just would hang out at his table and talk to him because nobody knew who he was, right? He's putting out
yeah,
black and white comics. And I'm like, come on, man, break away from the table. Let's go grab lunch. Me, him, and David Mack went grabbed lunch a couple times. And I did that, the next year. I saw him. He remembered me. And he's just like, dude, you need to come up to the studio and hang out and
see, yeah.
do some stuff. And my dumb ass never did. And
Oh wow.
we lost contact. But for about 3 years or so, you know, I'd go to the Columbus show and me and Bendis would just kick it.
Yeah,
And and then
yeah,
here he is, man. He just blew up. I'm just like,
yeah.
shit, this
And the
dude's
fact
writing
that
everything.
he would remember you every year, and he after that throughout the rest of the year, he's meeting
Yeah,
thousands and hundreds of more people. But
yeah,
when he's there, oh hey, what's up?
yeah,
How's it going? Like you made that impression that someone who meets hundreds and thousands of people a year,
yeah, yeah.
you
Because he
stick
was doing
out.
his own art and
Yeah,
writing. And then I'd
like
bring
he'll
my
remember you.
portfolio
Yeah,
and we talk about stuff, about art. He's
yeah,
like, you need to come up and do some art. I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I procrastinate and put shit off to the side
yeah,
and never
yeah,
did. And that's one of my big regrets. But there's been some other creatives that I've met at shows and just hung out because like nobody's hanging out talking to them. I'm like, yeah, man, this is Arthur
yeah,
Adams right here, one of the greats. I'm like,
yeah. Exactly.
and he was cool as hell.
Yeah,
Jeff Darrow, he was at the table when I was telling you we was there in 93, 94 in Chicago with that publisher. Jeff Darrow was at the table next to us, man, and it was just amazing because he had original art there, and this guy's
hmm,
art's insane, right? But
yeah,
he was the nicest dude, man. And just you realize that there are people just like us, right? But
yeah,
and so and that's how I see it when I go to shows. I think I'm pretty humble, and
yeah,
I love when people love my stuff, and I just like to build relationships like that. Um, I've had a couple fans come up and be like, look, man, I talked to you last year. I bought some of your books. What's the new book? What's the latest? And so we
yeah,
talk, and they'll pick
yeah,
up the latest book. I thank them, and people like that, I'll give free art. I mean, hell, I've given away pages before just because they were so enthused. It
yeah,
it just made my day, and I was like, you know what? This original art, it's going to go back home and just sit on the shelf,
yeah.
right? But to them, it's
It's
going to
it becomes priceless.
right.
To them, it's become priceless
I,
because
some of these guys, they frame it up, put it on the wall. One dude's like, man, I got
exactly.
it in my bedroom. I'm like, that's a
Yeah,
fucking werewolf tearing somebody's head off. But hey,
exactly.
whatever, dude.
Hmm.
You love it. There you go, man.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know,
for example, as I mentioned, I did that exclusive for Comic Con with Kyle Willis. He
yeah,
actually, what I did was I sent him a transit map from New York City Transit,
yeah.
and they're pretty big. So he painted the cover, and then he converted
Oh
digitally.
shit.
But it's pretty big. It's a pretty big painting.
Yeah,
So once he was done, he's like, "What do you want to do with it?" I'm like, "Man." that is huge. And to ship it, I don't want it to get damaged. I was like, auction it off and then, do
Yeah,
something with the money, keep it, whatever. Like, let's see who buys it. Someone bought it for like $300
nice.
of me, a big painting of my face. Someone bought for, and they're hanging it up. And so now
That,
in someone's
that's cool.
living room or
That's a
somewhere
story.
is
You know what I'm
is
saying?
my face just sitting there, and it's just like, wow, you know, they invested $300 on
And
this
that's
big painting
that
of me.
that's why when I was talking about my campaigns, when I offer original artwork and panels, that's a story that they can
Yeah,
tell their friends when their friends come
yeah,
over and see that. They're like, man, dude, what's this? What's this picture on the wall? Oh man, that's a comic book, man. It's local guy, you know,
yeah,
original art. Here's the book right here that's in and all that, and that's always cool. And so that's how I see it too, man. It's a story. It's their
yeah,
story. We played a part in their story, right?
exactly.
Just like they play a part in our story. And
Hmm.
so yeah, it's all good. That's what I get out of comics, man. That's the therapy. Go
Yeah,
back
it's very
full circle.
therapeutic,
That's therapeutic because I
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
You
because
know,
you got to get uh you got to get that love back because it helps you continue. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That you're doing it for a reason. You ain't doing it for nothing. Um, and no matter some days you get down on yourself, there's always someone out there looking forward to your creation, what you're working on.
Exactly. And
To,
sometimes that's the motivation that we need sometimes.
oh yeah, definitely
Sometimes it's
need
just
it.
that motivation of people are just, hey, when's the next book?
Yeah,
When's the next whatever? Like when is your next project coming out? Because I'm excited.
right.
And that sometimes could breathe whole new life into you, especially, if you're going through something and you're kind of like
Mm,
putting things back for a minute. Sometimes that'll give you that refresh that you need or needed to come back and finish what you were doing and continue what you were doing because you do got fans out there. Like I
yeah.
remember I got on Facebook somebody messaged me. They're like, "How do I get copies of your book?" And I'm like, "Where you from?" "I'm in South Africa." I'm like,
Oh,
"Holy."
that's
I'm like,
crazy.
I'm like, "You from where?" He's like, I'm in South Africa, and I've come across your stuff. I've seen it in in the groups and everything, and like, do you ship out here? I was like, I ship anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's one thing from someone from like across the country to reach out, but you talking the other side of the globe, and
right.
they're like,
That's wild.
I love your stuff. I'm like, whoa.
That's so
It
cool.
that just sometimes that just thinking of that is just so mind blowing,
Yeah,
because we're more connected now than we were even 20 years ago.
yeah,
Like the whole world is literally right here on in our hands. We could talk to someone in Japan right now and just say,
hmm
"Hey, what are you guys doing right now?" You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
we're so connected, and this is the best time for independent creators to push and keep going because now everything, like, we don't need the any big publishers or anyone to promote us like that and to give us that market when we could
yeah,
gain that same, we got the same resources.
yeah,
Even if you don't have money to publish, to print out your books, there's companies that print them out for you. Sure, they'll take a bigger cut from it, but still you'll still get something out of it, but you're not spending how much it costs to print out a copy. They do print on demand. It's like there's a will and a way for everything. If you really
hmm
want it, if you really want to get your stuff out, there's ways that work for every budget. Whether you
yeah.
got the money or you don't, there's always a will and a way. Before we wrap up, and that's kind of the whole gist of everything. Like, letting people know there's multiple options
Gotcha.
to
Yeah,
multiple routes, there's multiple options. Like giving up should never be an option.
nope.
Even if you don't feel like you're good enough, there's people out there that think you're more than great, and you could
hmm
be their favorite whatever, someone out there loves what you got to put out. And sometimes that's it's good enough, you
Yeah,
know.
I think so too. You're
It's
right.
good enough. But I want to thank you for joining us today. It
Yeah,
had a
man. Thanks for
great
having me, Miles.
conversation. I'm definitely gonna, I'm gonna have your information and your links all up here so
Okay.
people could check out your Kickstarter and they'll be able to follow you and check out what other projects you got. But once again, Dan, thank you for joining us. You guys already heard, he's got a lot of great projects coming out. Make sure you guys follow the Kickstarter and everything else. And we're gonna get this cracking over here.
Sounds
But
good. Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah,
see you again down the road.
definitely.
Just like and subscribe and share as you see them, as you see me post, and we'll catch you on another episode.
All right, brother. Take care,
All right,
man.
all right. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Thanks for coming on. All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So that's it for today, folks. It was a great episode. Definitely had some great conversations today. Once again, big ups to everyone who was a part of today's episode. You guys can check their stuff out. Links are gonna be down below in the description. But yeah, man, thanks a lot for everything. Can't wait to drop episode 4, 5, and 6, and many more after that. You know, thanks for the love and keep coming. I hope you guys like what we're what I'm putting out with this because I don't know. Like I said, like I've mentioned in a lot of these interviews, this is what I do. This is what I love, and just building with like mind creators, whether it's a comic or anything else, trading cards, games, music. Let's build, man. I want to hear what you got. I want to hear your story, and just want to see what we got going on, man. But on that note, it is your boy Mal behind the panels, and I'm out. Bang, bang.